can be free. I take the weight on my shoulders. I feel the sky come down on me. And I can't hold it much longer. Gotta let go so I can be free. Yeah, yeah. Oh, oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Oh, oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Oh, oh, yeah.
Let's do a show. It's FT Live on a Friday, getting close to the end of the regular season. Braun, Kratz dancing, Pierzynski, flustered, just back from Ohio, missing Ohio already. And LoCain,
No.
Where in the world is LoCain? I see Brazil to your right, LoCain.
Oh, yeah, I just got back from Turks and Caicos, so, I took a little trip. So, yeah.
My goodness.
Where's that at? Where's that at? Can you point that out for us on the map?
Definitely can't find. Oh, somewhere over here.
Somewhere over there? Okay.
Bahamas area.
You're so geographically
go.
challenged, LoCain.
Right here. Boom. Can y'all see it?
Yeah, I like it. At some point I was thinking maybe in the playoffs, if there's a weather situation, we can have LoCain do a weather report. I feel like he'd be good with the green screen.
I like it.
Right?
Like it.
Okay. We'll put you to the test at some point. We'll see if you're better than Mike Trout. Trout's the one obsessed with weather. Anyway, let's charge the damn mound because, and I'll throw this in there. Matt Gelb in 10 minutes on the Phillies, Ryan O'Hearn of the Orioles, Ken Rosenthal of FT, and Paul Sewald, closer for the D-backs. Everybody that I just listed will be joining us during this rockin' 2 hours on Stadium and then on the FT YouTube channel. So yes, let's charge the damn mound. Got a lot to get to. AJ, you're going to be our reporter on the scene because you were just in Ohio and the Orioles lost. I was kind of joking around with you like, oh, you got the Guardians, but you got the Guardians against the Orioles. This is still a legit division race. So Orioles fall. Let's get your take on. No? Okay.
Yeah.
No.
I mean,
It's over?
they're 2 up, but they won the tiebreaker. So they're actually 3 up in the loss column. So, there's only, 8 games to play, I believe it is, 9 games to play. 3 up with 9 games to play. 8 or 9 games, that's a huge mountain to climb, especially for Tampa, who's playing, I believe they play Toronto twice and New York in between. So,
Yes,
it's a
Yankees.
Yeah, it's a huge mountain for them to climb. And listen, I know the Guardians won last night, but the Orioles get to play the Guardians 3 more times this weekend. Although it is Bieber and McKenzie's coming back, and I believe Quantrill's pitching in between. So, listen, the Guardians are throwing their best out there, but listen, here's the thing with the O's that they need right now. They need bullpen rest because last night, Brandon Hyde talking to him, he's like, well, we don't want to use certain guys, and he ran them out there, and they struggled because of they played 4 against the Rays, huge series. Then they went to the Astros, and now they're playing the Guardians, and they're trying to keep the Rays at bay. So they need somebody to go out there as starter, and Grayson Rodriguez only went 5 last night. They needed him to do again what he did against the Rays and go 7 or 8. Instead, he went 5. The Guardians did a great job running his pitch count up with a ton of foul balls. But listen, this race isn't over, but 3 basically games ahead with 8 or 9 to play, that's a big mountain to climb.
Well, the Rays are trying to counterpunch with Junior Caminero. So he gets called up from Double-A. He is 20 years old. His slash line down there was electric in 314 ABs, 20 homers, slugging percentage at .548, on base at .373. And yeah, the Rays did pick up a game on Baltimore with their walk-off, a 2-run 9th inning. They ultimately take down the Angels. You had the Manny Margot blue pit to win it, and Eflin was pretty solid early on. So they're going to at least give it their best shot. And if you look at the production at shortstop for Tampa Bay, it's not been great since Wander Franco who was put on admin leave, and obviously probably never going to see him in a Rays uniform again, at least not for this year. We can talk more about what happens in the offseason with him. But Basabe comes in, a little bit of a flash early on. Now he's at 213, 600 OPS. Taylor Walls had the super hot start to the season. He's a great defender, but he's 204 with a 656 OPS. This is an infusion of offense, Kratz. This is also somebody that doesn't have to play every day. There's other dudes around the league right now that have gotten called up, like Pete Crow Armstrong's not playing every day, but you're like, well, he can definitely help us right now. Let's see if the bat plays right off the jump. And also he can play a little third base too. So I know Paredes can handle that, but it gives them more versatility, flexibility, and they need to hit.
They definitely need to hit. I think AJ will attest to it last night. Hyde, yes, he didn't want to bring his bullpen guys in, but when you don't score runs, you have to bring your bullpen guys in. The Rays are still trying their best to try to catch the O's. I agree with AJ. I don't think it's going to happen, but when you bring a guy up like this, my mind goes to a Xander Bogaerts. I think he was 20 when he got called up for the Red Sox. He was a shortstop of their future. He played third base. If you hit and you look like you are ready, they are going to put you in there. And the Rays are not afraid of doing something that I think in other large markets, teams or the media or fans would really get on you. If this guy doesn't do great right away, this is terrible. This guy's got 20 pumps in AA as a 19/20-year-old. 20 home runs in the Southern League is no joke. The ball goes nowhere in that league. So I'm excited to see what he's got. This guy kind of came out of nowhere with some of the how they acquired him. It's just like the Rays are raying right now.
Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. LoCain, if you're 20 years old and you've got talent in the minor leagues right now, you're a big leaguer. We talked about it a lot yesterday, but it's very different from when you were a rookie. I mean, guys are getting called up quickly. We spoke to Baseball America's Kyle Glazer yesterday for a while, and he had some really interesting insight about it. So if you missed it, you can flash back to yesterday or listen to the pod. But it's a 20-year-old who's being thrust in there, and I've been pushing this theme out there all year. Worst case, not hitting much. And there have been cases, like I'll bring up Jordan Lawler, who gets called up from the Diamondbacks, not doing much right now. Mm-hmm. Okay, got a little big league time. Dude, you got more work to do and might not be a big part of the playoff push for them, but he's a big part of their future.
Yeah, I think he'll be just fine. Like you said, the game has changed a lot. Teams are not afraid to call up young guys anymore. So that's the biggest change we've seen. So he's bringing that energy. They're gonna need him down the stretch, and ultimately, I think the Rays end up winning this division. So I'm excited to see how it plays out. But I'm very high on the Rays right now.
Wow. AJ.
Oh, wow.
Very high.
Okay, do you know? Lo, have you looked through the Orioles play after they play the Guardians this weekend?
Hey, I'm not worried about the Orioles.
They play the Nationals the next 3 games. So
teams like that.
Yeah.
Those are the teams that are dangerous.
Yeah. LoCain. Come on, LoCain.
I'm just saying. And teams that have nothing to play for are dangerous.
That's and then they finish with Boston. So yeah, they definitely have a schedule advantage. So LoCain, you would rather play the Blue Jays, who are fighting, crawling, going to be pulling their starter out in the 3rd inning because it's like a playoff type of scenario, or you'd rather play the Nats, who are throwing out Jake Irvin.
Yes, I would definitely rather.
Come on, LoCain, don't do that to me.
I'm just saying, teams that have nothing to play for are dangerous. That's all I'm saying. I'll leave it at that. But we'll see what happens. Time will tell.
The biggest thing, listen, I like it. If the thing for me is the tiebreaker. If there wasn't the tiebreaker game, because these two very well could end with the same record, but the Rays lose the tiebreaker. And that there's no playoff, there's no coin flip, there's no anything. Orioles, it's basically another game for them. So that's, to me, is the thing. And Scotty, to your point, it was interesting yesterday talking to Brandon Hyde about, what's the worst thing that happens? You send guys down. We've talked about this on the show where sending guys down sometimes hurts them. Brandon Hyde's like, I see nothing wrong with sending guys down. We sent Grayson Rodriguez down. Look how good he's come back. So we're all for getting him up here, showing them what they need to do to stay at the major league level and sending them back down. So, Scotty, Brandon Hyde is on your side, brother.
That's right. Also, what do we do if we get to the end of next week and the Rays end up taking the division? We'll do something for Lo.
I really appreciate it. Well, I'll be ready and prepared for you guys to do something for me.
Boy, LoCain, you better put your money where your mouth is, LoCain.
I think we each do like a 1-minute speech. Just saying all the nice things about LoCain. Each of us for 1 minute. I always say
nice things about LoCain.
That is true.
I want this to be like formal podium style speech that we'll do. Okay,
that's fair. So, I have a microphone and everything.
Listen, that's the Rays, exchange.
I think no one will be more surprised if the Rays win this division. Forget LoCain than the Rays themselves, because it's a big mountain to climb. I mean, it could happen, but it is a large mountain.
Agreed. Okay, so now we also have playoff games going down this weekend, unofficial playoff games with the Rangers and Mariners. Schedule makers nailed this. Kratz, 7 games between those two still to go. So good. Astros lead by a half a game. Jays are up on that wild card spot by a half a game. They lost to Cole and Jake Bauers and the Yankees last night. So I'll go over the rest of the sketch. Houston has 3 against the Royals, although they didn't look good against the Royals last week. And then 3 at Seattle and 3 at Arizona to finish their season. The Jays, as we mentioned just before, have 6 more against the Rays and 3 against the Yankees, who I don't think you're getting sweeps out of the Yankees right now, even though their offense isn't great. Yesterday they handled them, so that could be a 2 out of 3 situation for Toronto. Seattle's got those 6 against the Rangers and then 3 against the Astros. That's tough. And then Texas has 6 against, or 7 make it against the Mariners. And I think I said 7 for Seattle against the Rangers, 3 against the Astros. And for Texas, same thing, flip it, but they also have 3 against the Angels. When you add all of that up, how is this playing out? I'll go to our resident Aristotle, Lorenzo Cain, first to call the American League playoff race. So we know who wins the East. We know who wins the Central. According to you, the Rays. So you'll have to flip it and give the Orioles that wild card spot. But I'm looking for the winner of the American League West and then the other 2 wild card spots besides the Rays and the Orioles. Go.
Oh, besides the Rays, so I think I'm also going with the Astros.
To win the division?
Yes, to win the division.
Okay. So now we're looking on the screen right now at the AL wild card. So who do you have out of Seattle, Texas, and Toronto?
Seattle, Texas, Toronto. Oh, man. And I'll go with Texas to get the wild card spot, because I'm a big fan. I'm pulling for Chris Young. I played with him, and also Dayton Moore. I'm pulling for those guys. So Texas to sneak in the playoffs.
AJ, you saw a lot of Texas. Are they going to get in?
I because of LoCain's going to be so wrong on all this, it's going to be amazing. So when he's all wrong, I expect him to give us a speech about how wrong he was. But the thing is, they play 7 games against each other, right? Who are you taking right now with no Scherzer, Evaldi's not full strength? Are you taking Kirby, Castillo, Gilbert, Wu, Miller?
Oof.
Or are you taking Dunning, Evaldi, beat up, Heaney, Martin Perez, Montgomery? I just think that it's such a hill to climb. I think Toronto gets in, and I think Seattle gets in. And if we would have said this 2 months ago, Texas wasn't getting in the postseason, so we're crazy. I just think they miss because their starting pitching is so banged up.
It's music to my ears, Kratz. AJ just loves the Mariners and their starting pitching. It's almost as if he's been watching and listening to FT since March?
It only took 154 games for him to finally. And you guys haven't been living together. Had you guys been living together like you were earlier in the season, he would have kicked the Mariners to the curb. I'm going to kick out a team that you guys haven't said yet. I don't know that Toronto does it. I don't know that Gausman can handle Berrios. They can handle what the rest of their schedule looks like. The Rays, their hope will be that the Orioles win the next 6 games in a row and the Rays don't have a chance the last 3. That could be Toronto's hope. But with Vladdy not starting, I don't know what's going on with his knee or whatever that was. I have Toronto on the outside looking in. I also don't know the tiebreaker with Toronto and the Rangers, but I agree with AJ that the Rangers are going to be the not the odd man out. I have them as a 3rd wild card. So I think the Mariners take the division. I want the Mariners badly to take the division because if they do, as soon as they win it, I'm going to BetMGM, taking my plus money, and I'm getting plus money on Mariners and plus money on the Brewers, and I'm going to cash that in.
Oh, to meet up in the World Series?
Yes.
Those 2?
Yes.
I like it.
Wow.
Mariners, Brewers?
Just because of their pitching staff. You know how.
Sorry.
The Mariners.
Oh, gosh.
The Mariners bullpen is so unbelievable. Now, it doesn't matter that I just finished reading an article about them, how they picked all these dudes off the heap and they just keep throwing them out there and they just keep they're doing so well and they're all so rested. It's unbelievable. And what the Brewers are doing, I love it for the plus money. Yeah, I can go out and try to make like $6 or $7 and bet on the Dodgers and the Braves and
$6 or
your Orioles teams. I'm looking for that big plus money. I love it, and I can't wait for this weekend of baseball.
In some scenarios, I would go, oh, MLB hates that matchup for the World Series based on the markets. But actually, those two markets for a World Series, though, no, you're still a no, AJ?
Dude,
Brewers fans haven't
do-
seen a World
who-
Series in a minute.
Who do I work for?
You're such a corporate man. Stop with the corporate.
Listen.
Okay, so
Listen, there's not one team in the AL. Now listen, this has not been told to me, but I hear enough things. There's really not one team in the AL where they're like, oh, I mean, Baltimore is kind of the one that they're like, okay, Baltimore East Coast, but Houston's been played out kind of right there because they're there every year. Seattle doesn't have a huge fan base. The Rangers, the Cowboys are good, so the Rangers are kind of eh. Okay, the Twins are the Twins. I mean, listen, Minnesota's a great baseball town, a great city, but they don't draw TV audiences. You go in the National League, you got Atlanta, you got LA. I mean, Milwaukee's the kind of the one on the outside for me. I mean, if Atlanta or LA or Philly, listen, that's jackpot for the National League. But the American League, there's not. Listen, if it's a Tampa Bay, I don't know, Tampa Bay Milwaukee series, and if there's going to be some bad numbers coming out.
So what? I'm here for the plus money. Thank you, BetMGM. Thank you. And I know LoCain. I'll get to see LoCain if the Brewers make it to the World Series. LoCain
there.
Oh, there he's stretching his arm already, trying to throw it out that first, second, third, and eighth pitch. All of them, LoCain.
if that's the World Series, they need to get some serious lighting sponsors because those are two poorly lit ballparks. Tampa Bay is a joke. Obviously, Milwaukee, they're telling their city right now how much of a joke that ballpark is and like semi-threatening to leave and trying to get all that money from the city. But they're like, Milwaukee, we don't have air conditioning. Tampa Bay, we don't know what lights are. So it'd be like really, really pretty lighting for the World Series there. An aesthetically pleasing series.
Old corporate AJ doesn't want that game to happen. My boss is at Fox. The umpires are not going to be calling the games fair because I see you with your conspiracy theory. I see.
Hey, all I'm going to say is if LoCain does get to throw out the first pitch, you better not Stephen A. Smith it, okay?
Ooh,
I mean, you better get it there because there's a history of dudes on this show. Me, Frazier, and Kratz went halfway. We all got it there. So if LoCain gets to do it, you better not Stephen A. Smith it.
I have some practice now. Did you not see the one in Kansas City?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was from wasn't that from center field?
No. I threw it from the mound. My kid just threw it from center field.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. Lo still has a cannon. You're good. We'll talk about Stephen A. later. Let's hit our poll question because it's something I want to ask our first guest of the day on FT Live when he swings by, Matt Gelb of The Athletic. Would Max Fried not playing seriously affect the Braves in the playoffs, or do people just think the Braves are too much of a powerhouse? So your options are yes, no, or their break, as in not playing that wild card round will help, and then he'll be fine. He just went on the IL with the blister issue again. So we'll ask Gelb about the division rival of the Phillies coming up next. There he is, ready for battle against this Friday crew coming up.
Question is kind of along the lines with Kratz's, though. Is Major League Baseball did this, and I've talked to some people that are in minor league, positions, and they're like, well, it also we don't have enough players and they have to get rid of players sooner because they don't have enough teams and they can only have certain roster sizes. So like you're talking about the short season, this and that. Well, you used to be able to a guy got out, say a high school kid was drafted. If you don't perform right away, they have to get rid of you because guess what? A new draft crop of 20. Only 20 rounds is coming in. We have to clear 20 players plus the international guys that are coming up every year. So it doesn't allow for late bloomers and guys to kind of like you said, play 2 years in A ball, play a short season, play a low A. Oh, he figured it out. Oh, boom, he gets there now. So, I don't know that this is one of the byproducts. And honestly, I don't know that I love this for the future of baseball.
Yeah, there's certainly been a lot of issues that have sprung up. If you go and watch low A baseball right now, just to be frank, it can be hard to watch because it's a lot of kids who are still learning to play the game. 18 years old, 19 years old, sometimes 17 years old. Ethan Salas was 16, and he was in low A this year. So you have a lot of guys who you can see there's talent there, but they need time. They need physical strength gains. They need to learn to play the game. And a lot of times not given a chance. It's, hey, you're in low A, and we're going to cut you. We have to push you up to high A, even if you're not ready. A lot of times teams just push them, and they continue to struggle. Then they eventually get released. So we have seen this really, really hurt Latin American players in particular who sign younger, move up a little younger, and thus the physical development comes a little bit later. And you're right. There's definitely a lot of kids out there now who need, a short season and then another year at low A and maybe a second year even starting at low A that don't get that now. And there is an argument to be made the talent pool is suffering because of that.
And now back to foul territory.
We are back on FT Live with Matt Gelb, who writes about the Phillies for The Athletic, joining us on a Friday. Matt, good to see you, dude. And I actually want to start you off with a Braves question instead of a Phillies question, just because the news is super fresh. Max Fried placed back on the injured list. I know obviously he can still do his thing in the playoffs, but it just means he's not going to get one more start. He looked pretty good yesterday, but the blister looks like it's popping up as an issue. And I'm just wondering, from your perspective, seeing a lot of Braves Phillies lately, if Max Fried is not himself or not able to go deep into starts or maybe not even pitching in the playoffs because the blister continues to be an issue, how much does that tilt an advantage towards the Phillies' edge? Not necessarily still giving them an advantage, but does it help their cause?
I mean, certainly. I think the advantage is still with the Braves because you can still look at it and say Spencer Strider is starting game 1, and because of the way the schedule is with an extra off day in there, he can come back and start game 4. So if you're the Phillies, you still have to beat Strider twice in a 5-game series, and Strider has been excellent against them, with last postseason start the exception. And, Fried is really good. And if you take Fried out of the equation, and even if you're getting Fried, let's say he comes back, he'll not have pitched for about 2 weeks. And even if the blister is healed, not being on the mound for more than 2 weeks, could hurt his effectiveness. But you take him out, and then you're looking at Charlie Morton in game 2, Bryce Elder in game 3, not as formidable. The Phillies just faced Bryce Elder, and he was not around the strike zone. Phillies really had some good at-bats against him, and I think drew 5 walks against him and maybe 4 innings. And having Fried in there makes the Braves even better now. Like that said, the Braves lineup isn't affected by this, and they're still the best lineup in baseball, maybe the best lineup ever that we've ever seen. So I still give the advantage to the Braves, but I think it just evens the playing field. And we saw last year, in a 5-game series, weird things happen. And I think right now the Phillies and the Braves, if they were to meet each other in the LDS, I think it'd be a hell of a series.
So you said the Braves lineup is that legit, and yet the run differential for this year, while the Braves took all the, I think it was 5 and 8? I think the Phillies were against the Braves this year. The run differential total, because we're talking about the Braves offense, was 1. The Braves had +1 more runs scored than given up than the Phillies. So while the win-losses are one thing, is the Phillies offense just as good as the Braves offense, or good enough if they're not as good?
I don't think it's as good, Kratzy, but I think it's pretty close. And again, in a 5-game series, those margins are really thin. And we saw last year the Phillies hit a bunch of home runs in the playoffs. And what is the formula for winning in the playoffs? It's hitting the ball over the wall, having 2 really good starting pitchers, and 2 or 3 guys you can really, really trust in the bullpen. And I think right now, I look at the bullpens, and I'm picking the Phillies over the Braves. And that's even with the Phillies having definitely some concerns of late. I thought Jose Alvarado was terrific last night, and he was such a key for them last year. But in terms of the offenses, right now you go down 1 through 9, and yeah, I'm taking the Braves over anybody right now. I think the Phillies have a really challenging lineup for any pitcher to go at. That said, Strider has handled them pretty well this year. And again, you'd have to face him twice in a 5-game series.
Matt, quit being a homer. Quit being Erik Kratz, okay? But the Phillies lineup. I mean, okay, the Braves lineup is historic, and I know they only had a +1 run differential, but I'm sure there was a game in there because Kratz and Braun tell me all the time run differential doesn't matter. So now it matters when Kratz wants it, but that's a whole different story. Now, Matt, you have to give. I will say this: I know you're going to pick them because you're, a Philly writer, and you don't want to get booed when you walk into the press box. I totally get it. Okay, But I say this: the Phillies aren't afraid of the Braves. The Phillies aren't afraid of the Dodgers. The Phillies aren't afraid of anybody in the National League or the American League. And if they walk into any series, without arguing, you could say the Phillies are the favorites with Nola, Wheeler, Suarez, whoever the third starter is. Alvarado comes back. Kimbrel's been great this year. Their lineup. So who stops the Phillies? If you say they beat the Braves, then the Dodgers are the team, because they're not going to be scared of the Dodgers with their starting rotation.
I mean, AJ, I think it's the Braves. I mean, the Braves are the team that, to me, I guess, like, if you're drawing it up, like, you want to get them as early as you can in the playoffs. The shorter the series, the more variance, the more weird things that can happen. I feel like if the Braves get past the NLDS, I don't know if anyone's beating the Braves in baseball in a 7-game series. I mean, that's just their lineup is just, it just destroys pitchers over times. It really does. And once you feel like you've gotten through a few guys, and all of a sudden here's another guy, and he makes you pay for your mistakes. So right now, though, AJ, like, I look at the National League, and I think the Braves are the best team, and I think the Phillies are the second best team. And I know that sounds crazy, especially some Phillies fans who might be listening, because they're like, the Phillies haven't been playing well. People have been really frustrated because it hasn't been maybe as good as they expected it to be. But I see this team as a team that rose to the moments last October, and I think they are built again to have October success. The roster is whittled down to, the 9 or 10 hitters that you trust, the 7 or 8 pitchers that you trust, and I think you could take the Phillies' top 17 players in their roster, and I think they stack up well just about against anybody, maybe except the Braves.
All right, now compare. We need to know what it's like being there every single day compared to last year. I was there last year. I tried to tell you that this team could make a run in the playoffs, and you said, "Meh, I don't think so. This is my Matt Gelb face. I don't think so." But even last night, Nick Castellanos in his post-game interview said, "We're a different team than we are last year." Said last year we were together. We were pulling for each other, but we didn't have the experience. And he alluded to the fact that we're confident. We have the experience. What is the feeling like around that clubhouse? Because last year, besides Matt Gelb, it wasn't just you. A lot of people thought, you might. I heard a couple times when I was leaving, start scheduling your October plans. Like, they're not making it very far. Howard Eskin said it. Screw these guys. He loves the Eagles, though, so whatever, Howard. But what's it feel like down there?
Yeah, I mean, it is different. The vibes around the ballpark have been different all year, I think, because there's been incredible crowds. And I think they knew they were going to get an attendance boost after you win the National League pennant. But it's been those random Tuesday nights and those Thursday nights where the ballpark was just packed. And I think, yes, there is a certain confidence around this team because, in my opinion, Eric, like, it's a better roster than it was last year. Mm-hmm. And I know it's weird because they won the National League last year, but I think overall this is a better roster. I think pitching-wise, yes, there are some questions. Aaron Nola is a huge question going into October. You're just not quite sure what kind of version of him you're going to get. But I think they have a deeper bullpen, a deeper number of pitchers that they can trust in October in the playoffs. And so the vibe around the team has been like, let's get it, let's do our business, let's get in, and let's make sure we're trying to play as many games as we can at home. Let's get that 4 seed so we can get that first series at home. And let's see if anyone can come in here and beat us. And yeah, I mean, having been there and having done it, that just gives you an extra piece of armor. When you go up against struggles or you face adversity, you say, we did this last year. No one thought we would. We did. And now everyone thinks that, the expectations are higher, as they should be. And we know what it feels like. We know what it's like in October. And I think having that experience is just it's just made them more confident here coming down the stretch, because really, they can lock this thing up in a few days, and that's going to give them a few days to just get everything settled and ready to go in October.
Speaking of crowds, getting the opportunity to, play in Philly, as we all know, if you don't perform, they will literally boo their players out of the stadium. So from me, my question is, has the vibes changed, or are they not, booing their players as much? And also, can you give me a little insight on that throw from Nick the other night?
I'll start with the throw, which was, I don't know. I think everybody in the clubhouse and in the dugout afterwards said it best. I think that everyone thought that he should have dropped the ball. Like, let that ball drop, because the chances of making that throw and getting him out at the plate are are slim. I don't know what the chances are, but they were probably less than 20%, maybe even smaller than that. And so, that's the game-winning run right there. And usually you're just going to let that drop. But I guess to Castellanos' credit, I mean, he made a heck of a play. Like it was a phenomenal play, and I think it got everybody pretty fired up. And it's funny because they have not been good in extra innings of late. They had lost 5 extra inning games in a row until that game. So I mean, that was a big win for them. I know, you look at the standing, it's like, look, they're 4 up, and they're going to be in the playoffs. But I think that was just a good win to say, look, we came out of Atlanta with a series win. We did it in very dramatic fashion, and it was a heck of a play by Castellanos, who's having a great year. He's now got a career high in RBIs. He's been a consistent offensive performer. He's been better in right field. He's had his ups and downs. He was an all-star, but he's had some slumps. But in the end, he's having a productive season. So as far as, the boos, Lorenzo, I mean, it's they still boo. I know a lot was made about, lifting Trey Turner up, and I thought that was really cool. That was a great moment in the season where Trey Turner, very clearly a talented player, a great player, one of the best players in the sport, was going through a really bad slump, a really bad struggle. I mean, it was about 4 months at that point. And I think people liked how he wasn't hiding from it. I mean, he was, in fact, probably wearing it too much. He was being really self-critical, and you could see that he needed a little love. And his teammates have been giving him love for, ever since the season started. But I think it was neat to see what the fans did, and it definitely helped him feel more comfortable, more relaxed. He's made some swing adjustments that have probably helped him sustain, the success that he's had now for, almost 2 months now. And he's playing like Trey Turner. I mean, he's playing like the guy that they gave $300 million, and that's been a huge boost to them. And I think, to the point about the lineup, they have guys up and down the lineup who can knock it out of the ballpark. Not as frequently as the Braves can, but there's power threats really 1 through 8, I think, in this lineup.
It's the series we all want to see. Can't wait for it, hopefully in the playoffs. Matt, great to have you on here. You survived the hot seat with this whole crew. They're spicy Friday. We'll see you down the line, and have a fun weekend covering these guys.
See you guys.
Thank you. Appreciate it. That's Matt Gelb. You can read all of his work in The Athletic, and also we'll post some of these clips on Twitter, so you can follow him there as well. Ryan O'Hearn had a week for the Orioles. He's joining us next on FT Live.
Okay, let me ask you this. Is this the strangest career for a guy? Okay, because he's going to have 2 Cy Youngs, 1 in each league, right? You take away those 2 years, he's under 500 in his career. Heck, you take away 2018 where he was 21-5, he's under 500 for his career. I mean, this is one of the strangest careers, because in 2018 when he won the AL Cy Young, right? 21-5, 1.89 ERA. Should have won, 180 innings pitched. This year, 14-9, 2.33. But you look at every other year, he's got, 3.5 ERA, 4 ERA, 3.5 ERA, 4 ERA, 3.5 ERA, and then he's going to have 2 Cy Youngs. So then it goes to this. Most guys with 2 Cy Youngs, guess where they go? Cooperstown. Right. Is Blake Snell a Hall of Famer? Because it's such a strange career that the 2 great years that he's had have also coincided when nobody else is having a great year also. Because you look at the National League this year, there's nobody other than Blake Snell that's having a great year. Usually there's a couple of guys you can kind of argue, but then you also look at the AL, right? I mean, Cole's going to win the AL because he's the one having a great year. But normally there's a couple guys you can throw in the argument. The years that Blake Snell has done it, he's just blitzed everybody, and then the rest of the years he's been average.
I go back. Is it his fault?
No, it's not.
Is it his fault that nobody else, kind of rose to the occasion
but
with him?
It's just, isn't it strange that like
it is.
His career is like 2 Cy Young awards, and then
like look at Tim Lincecum, right? Another guy with 2 Cy Young awards where like he was dominant for that 7-year stretch. He was as good as it got, and then that was it. And it was a guy that we thought, oh, maybe this guy goes to Cooperstown, and it didn't end up being that way. Jacob deGrom also has 2 Cy Young awards. Is he going to end up in Cooperstown? I don't know. At this point in his career, is he going to stay healthy? I think it is interesting. And I think when you look at Blake Snell and kind of spin it forward, that's a guy that's a free agent. It's a guy that's going to be a free agent. And with Shohei Otani not being able to pitch until 2025, that guy is going to command a different market this offseason.
He is.
And now back to foul territory.
FT Live keeps rolling. Kratz, Pierzynski, Braun, and LoCain, now joined by Ryan O'Hearn of the Baltimore Orioles, the first place Baltimore Orioles in the American League East. Ryan, great to have you on. I'm assuming maybe you're in your hotel room, so just curious because it's the topic of the week. How many hours of sleep did you get last night, and do you get on average this season since one of your division rivals gets 14 before his starts?
I saw that. That's wild. No, I usually stick to my casual 8 to 10. Spent some time at the casino last night at Jack's. We're here in Cleveland, so slept in today and woke up just in time to meet with you guys.
Newsflash, Ryan's normal. 8 to 10 is normal. Good. I'm glad to hear that. I have one more for you before these guys jump in. So at one point, what was it, last week, you had a run where you hit the 5-for-5 game. Next game, you hit a home run. Does it get to a point as a hitter where you feel like it's a heat check, like Steph Curry just keeps backing up and shooting threes basically from half court until he misses? Do you feel that, or do you feel like, damn, I want to keep this streak alive? You know what I'm saying? Like, is it a confidence thing or more like don't change anything?
Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes you just have that magic wand, you just hit the ball, it's finding holes. I was trying to be aggressive. That day was, that day was interesting because we had partied pretty hard the day before, clinching, and sometimes it just be that way. I showed up and balls were finding holes, and then the homer the next day was sick. I love to hit in Houston, so solid series.
Brian, what's going on, man?
LoCain, what's up, man?
Man, just hanging out, Just quick question, man. Like, talk to me, man. Did anything change? I mean, you've been lighting it up. You've been swinging the bat really well. I mean, just talk to me. What's going on with your swing right now?
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, the hitting coaches here, they got me right, man. They got me right from the start. It was like, we showed up. They had a whole deal ready for me as far as like, some changes that we wanted to make. And then, we got to work. And then it was pretty like instant, just the way that the ball was flying in batting practice. And that's when I realized, like, okay, this is a little bit different than what I've been doing the last few years. Kind of always had a problem getting the ball with backspin in the air, pull side. Wasn't hitting breaking balls the way that I wanted to, just kind of beating everything into the ground. I always hit the ball hard, but not at, good launch angles or whatever. And then, so it was a combination of that. And then, just kind of learning stuff over the years, trying to take something from every hitting coach I had ever worked with. And it just kind of clicked for me. And then as the year went on, I started getting more and more opportunities, getting more comfortable. Things kind of took off, man. It's been such a blessing. Where I'm at now compared to this year, last time, is just couldn't be more night and day. It's been awesome.
So it started in spring training, these adjustments that they made. Why did you go to AAA? Were you pissed? You're like, dude,
yeah,
look at how I'm absolutely mashing the ball.
Yeah, we also had a guy named Franchi Cordero hit like 600 in spring training, and
that's what he does.
Unfortunately, his spring training numbers don't mean everything. But obviously I was pissed. I didn't want to go back to AAA. I spent plenty of time in AAA, and I've always had good numbers in AAA. And I wanted to be in the big leagues, obviously. So it was a short 2-week trip down in Norfolk, and honestly wasn't too bad at all.
Ryan, it was nice seeing you last night in Cleveland. I don't think we got to talk, but it was great. It was great seeing you anyways. At least I got to talk to Hicks. He didn't blow me off when you walked right past me. It's cool, though.
That's not true at all, man. That's not true.
I walked right past me. Whoop, 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 whoop.
Big leagued you.
Oh, it was unbelievable. Unbelievable.
That didn't happen.
Oh, right past me, right here. Whoop. I was standing there talking to Hicks right between us. Whoop.
Absolutely not. No chance. No chance. How you doing, man? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, I'm doing great. On a serious note, I was talking to Brandon Hyde last night. We go in, we do these games, we get to talk to the managers. And you were a big topic of conversation because obviously you were in AAA to start the year. You're claimed off waivers from the Royals. You come over. You don't make the team out of spring training. And we said, well, what did O'Hearn change? And he said, he kind of went through what you just said. He made some adjustments in the swing. And I said, well, how did he earn the time? And he goes, well, I put him in there. He got a hit. And we're like, well, he earned another start. And then he got 2 hits. And then we're like, oh, well, I can't really take him out of the lineup. You got 2 more hits. And now you're hitting 4th for a team that's probably going to win the AL East. Walk us through the mindset of Norfolk to now hitting cleanup for one of the best teams in the American League.
Yeah, insane. But I'll tell you what, at the same time, like I always believed that I could do it. It was never a question of whether I thought I could do it or not. It's like I know I can do it. I've in brief stints had success in this league before, and LoCain knows what it's like hitting at the K in Kauffman Stadium. It's not fun, and you couple that with the shift stuff and all that, and I just felt like I could never get out of get my head above water there. And it was like, you don't get a couple of hits, you sit the bench for a week, that kind of deal. When I got here, it was like, all right, I love hitting at Camden. I got these new swing changes going on. I feel good. There's no more shift. And then I just started getting hits, and then things just kind of started snowballing. And, I've got more confidence now in the box and obviously than I've ever had. And you guys notice when you never really have success in the big leagues is you're just kind of finding your way. And then once you do have it, you kind of, loosen up a little bit, feel like you can be yourself more, feel like you can actually just, let it eat up there like it's another day and you're not, scratching and clawing just to get back in the lineup. And that's just kind of how it happened. But yeah, it's definitely been a whirlwind. It's been a big change. And it's been beautiful, man. It's been awesome.
So you mentioned confidence and I know I can do it, all that stuff. Did you know you were going to get all those hits though when you were banged up? Were you sitting there going, "Dang, we partied a little bit too hard tonight. I hope they won't put me in the lineup." Did Hyde come to you before the celebration, or did he come to you during the celebration? He was like, "Hey, Ernie, you're still in there."
Well, Mounty's got the shoulder thing going on, so somebody's got to play first base. But if you were to follow me throughout my minor league career, I was pretty good at playing hungover back then. Not so much anymore, but if there was ever a time to play hungover, and celebrating making the playoffs is a good time to do it.
Oh, hell yeah. You guys deserve that. So with that, on the individual side of things, do you want to state the case for the AL Manager of the Year and who the AL Rookie of the Year should be, in your opinion?
Yeah, for me, it's a no-brainer. I think we got Brandon Hyde, Manager of the Year. He does such a good job of getting the best out of you. He reads players really well. He knows kind of when to leave you alone, when to say something to you. Just ultimate leader, man. He's always seems to have the right thing to say to the guys, and keeps it loose and fun when it should be, and then when it's time to get down to business, he's good at that too. So I think Brandon Hyde is definitely Manager of the Year, and for me, and then obviously we got a young guy named Gunnar Henderson trying to win Rookie of the Year, and if you look at what that guy's done this year on both sides of the ball, the way he's hit. The way he's played defense at shortstop and third base, the guy's just incredible. And to have such a young player with that kind of moxie, that kind of aura about him, where he's not scared, he's just got this silent confidence going on, I think is such a rare thing for a young guy. Sometimes I forget that he's 22 years old, just because the way that he plays and the confidence that he brings. But I'm pulling for both those guys to win those awards. I think they're very deserving.
Yeah, you just want Brandon Hyde because he's playing you. That's why. And Gunnar Henderson,
absolutely,
makes all his plays at shortstop, right?
Brown noser.
Yeah, it's
right.
amazing. Big league me, Brown nose Brandon Hyde. I get it. That's how you get in the lineup. It's perfect.
He's changed. He's changed from the Royal days.
No?
That's right. But I bet when he had Brian Buchanan in Omaha as his hitting coach, he wasn't clamoring for him hitting coach of the year.
That's also not true. I love Buck, man. Love that guy.
Brandon Hyde. Obviously, doing the game last night, you find out so much about the team. But have you gotten Brandon Hyde to drink out of the homer hose yet? Did he drink out of the celebration?
He did a homer hose during the celebration, along with Mike Elias and John Angelos, our owner. We had everybody
Awesome. Yeah. And then whose idea was it? Was it Herstad who you guys stuck in the cart and dumped all the crap on him?
How did
he get stuck being the bad guy?
Because you guys ran out of beer, right?
Well, I just think we ran out of beer, and I think he was just I don't even know if he had a trip in the basket yet. So I just think it was his time to get that trip in the basket, and no beer. So we got olive oil, ketchup, mustard, you name it, and he just had to wear that one.
Who gets in trouble for that? Somebody's got to take a hit, kangaroo court or something. Run out of beer for the celebration? Usually there's so much left when I've been in those clubhouses. What happened?
It was probably like a 15-minute intermission, and then we had some reinforcements coming in. I don't know if they ran to CVS or whatever or gas station, but we got some. When's the last time you bought beer from CVS? But we eventually got some reinforcements.
Supply chain issues all across the country. Hey, question for you, because you faced him for a while with KC. So we're going to get to this later, but they've been doing the gifts for Miggy across the ballparks because he's leaving. So the Oakland A's gave him an $80 bottle of wine. Compared to, like the Dodgers giving him a Hollywood star. And you saw, some of the other teams putting thousands of dollars together. Oh, we have the video. Amazing. Like, speaking of your local drugstore, they were like, shit, guys, Miggy's coming and nobody works here. And the owner won't pay for anything. Does anyone have $80? Okay, here. Your thoughts.
Maybe, it's close to Napa. Maybe they could sell it off that way. I don't know. That's a no comment for me. I saw that this morning. Also, I know we gave him a brick. So, I know it's from the classic warehouse, but I don't know.
True. Well, okay. If you're on
interesting gift.
No, there's more creativity to that, though.
Definitely more creativity, yes.
Than grabbing a bottle of wine. If you were on a tour for the end of your career, what would you want? Like, what's something that you love that you either have like at the house, or do you collect anything?
Oh, that's a good question. The only thing I've been collecting lately is guys who are, kind of later on in their career who I've always looked up to, respected, just trying to get their, them sign a jersey for me. I got Votto this year. I got Evan Longoria. I got Miggy last year, Greinke, just some guys like that. That's kind of been my only thing. Eventually one day I want to, when I get a bigger house, have a room with some jerseys of guys that I, respected and played against throughout my career. But other than that, I don't know. I can't think of anything. Maybe new golf clubs.
Keep it in dingers, and you're gonna have a huge house for all those jerseys.
Tell them.
Who has said no? Have you played against somebody and been like, oh, dude, went into the Dodgers and hey, I want this guy's jersey, and guy was like, no shot.
No, everyone's been pretty gracious. But I make sure to see him, at first base or something before the game and say, hey man, I love watching you play. Like, you think you'd sign a jersey for me? I'm not just, ambushing guys saying, hey, can you send over a jersey to so-and-so? But everybody's been pretty cool.
Hey, Ryan, I got one more. So you mentioned how the Orioles had a plan for you right off the jump, and change of scenery can be a big positive in the game. We see that work with a lot of players getting different insight and also just getting to, show off their skills for a different ball club and fit in that way. So with that being said, Baltimore's had a ton of success. KC's in their rebuild right now. If I called you and I'm on the front office of the KC Royals and I go, hey, dude, that team's crushing it. How do we get there? What would be one thing that you would tell them? What do you observe there that Baltimore's doing winning culture-wise? It can be something super small, like, hey, we hit one team dinner a week, or it can be something like big picture, hey, they've got this behind the scenes that really makes a difference.
Yeah, it's a tough question. I think it helps that, what they're doing in Kansas City, I think they are on the way. One thing that Baltimore has had, in my opinion, is just solid starting pitching, honestly. Kansas City's on the way. They got a lot of young guys that are kind of coming into their own. When I was in Toronto, Buck Martinez asked me to choose between, because I played with Bobby Witt. He's like, can you choose between Bobby Witt and Gunnar Henderson if you had to? And I was like, absolutely not. There's no way. These guys are both incredible. So I think, as the years go on and they continue to add pieces, they're going to be just fine. But it takes time and it takes experience and winning. And I makes me think of the Orioles a couple years ago. Playing at Camden a couple years ago was like the most low stress environment as a visiting team that you could play in. It was like nobody was in the stands, team wasn't good. You would come into Baltimore and looking to get a couple hits a game and kind of get those numbers up. But it's like things happen quick, and it's amazing how fast it's changed in Baltimore. Just by adding some pieces and getting the right veterans surrounding a young core, and then all of a sudden the culture changes, and then you start piling up the wins, and everything can change real quick. So I think that's the direction Kansas City's headed, and I love all the people over there. I wish nothing but the best for them.
All right, so you didn't want to choose between Witt and Gunnar. You got to choose now. Like we're not playing both sides of the fence here. Salvi and Adley, who has more?
Come on,
who has more World Series
I choose Erik
championships?
Kratz.
No, you can't choose them.
Yes.
Nope. Who has more World Series championships at the end of their career? Salvador Perez or Adley Rutschman?
Well, I would hope to be in Baltimore for a while, and I hope it's Adley Rutschman.
Boom. There you go.
I'll
Great
tell Salvi.
Teammate.
I'm
That's
texting
gotta
right
be.
now.
But I love
That's
Salvi.
got to be an auto answer.
Nope. You hate Salvi. LoCain heard it too.
Come on now.
Salvi, I never liked her anyway. I never say his name.
Nailed it. Incredible.
Good.
Ryan, great to have you on, man. Appreciate it. We've been wanting to have you. Enjoyed the combo. Keep crushing it. Have a big final week here. Go take that division, and we'll watch you in the postseason. Right?
By the way, wait, before we let him go, LoCain picked the Rays.
I knew you were going to do that.
LoCain picked the Rays to catch you.
I apologize, Ryan. Listen, let me defend myself.
What's up with that?
I apologize, Ryan. You guys have a great selfless group, but those Rays, man, it's something about those Rays that do it for me.
Come on now. All right, we're going to see.
Hey, I want to ask you about that bunt, man, real quick. Hey, you guys
like
are so
that?
selfless. Hey, great bunt, by the way. I've never seen you bunt before. Where you start?
No, that was my first major league sack bunt. And I was fired up in the moment, and Hyder's like, hey, I got a tough assignment for you. Can you get this bunt down? And we got Diekman going. I'm like, hell yeah, let's get it down. I just try to stick my face in there and do whatever I could do to get it down. But I'm just, I'm glad we got that thing down.
You did it. Well, go win that division. Shove it to low. He'll apologize in a week. Ryan, great to talk to you, dude. Good luck this weekend.
And you can
thanks for having me on, guys.
You can big league me next Saturday again in Baltimore.
I'll be looking for you, AJ. I promise you, I did not see you. I would not big league you.
AJ, you're a punk. We'll be right back. So what's the deal with Holiday? Why isn't he up with the Orioles? Is it because they've got, a lot of talent on the big league squad? I don't think anybody at this point doubts that if he was called up, he would more than hold his own right from the jump, even with a playoff contender, and potentially even be an instant hit. He hasn't really struggled much. You can correct me. You're paying even closer attention, but give us your worldview of the story of Jackson Holiday, the rise, when he's coming up, and should the Orioles have called him up, or still could, for a playoff run?
Yeah, it's really remarkable. You talk about this time last year, he had just graduated high school. And for a high school draftee to be in AAA 1 year after he was drafted is nothing short of remarkable. And he's a player that's been on a consistent upward trend, continues to get bigger, stronger, faster every year. We're seeing the power start to come, and he's always been a really instinctive player, as you'd expect, as someone who's the son of a player who had as good of a career as Matt Holliday. I think with him, the biggest thing you're talking about is, as talented as he is, as polished and as poised as he is, physically, this is still a teenager. This is still a young kid. And while he's had a lot of success at every level so far, there's still not a lot of total at-bats at AAA. And the other part of this is, I talked about the quality of the minors declining. The gap between AAA and the major leagues is wider than it used to be. So taking a kid who still has a lot of physical development left, who really doesn't have that many at-bats at the AAA level, and thrusting him into the pennant race, especially as the Orioles are trying to get home field advantage in the American League and stay in first place and not have to play a wild card series, thrusting him in right away in that high pressure situation might not be what's best for him long term. Again, he's instinctive, he's polished, he can survive. But when you look at the Orioles are in great position right now, throwing him into the mix might not be what's best for him long term. I think it makes sense that they're letting him get some more at-bats at AAA and seeing where the chips fall there.
And now back to Foul Territory.
FT Live finishing up hour one. Really strong hour two coming up next too on our FT YouTube channel. If you're watching live and want to get involved with some questions, Ken Rosenthal will join us at the top, and Paul Sewald is going to sneak on by and give us word on the Arizona Diamondbacks wild card push. So let's finish up this poll question. If we think that the Fried blister issue is going to be a major impact for the Braves in the playoffs, most people said no. AJ, now I don't know if that means they're going, I don't think it's a big deal, or if they're like, Fried or not, the Braves are going to truck through this thing anyway. I think it's huge for them. I think it makes the situation much more, not even. They still are going to have an edge against anybody, but suddenly you look at the rotation, like line it up for me. Let's just say Fried can't get the blister under control, or he took a couple weeks off and is not the same. Strider, Morton, Elder, bullpen game.
Yeah, this is a bigger thing than we maybe are letting on. But listen, Max Fried has been a stud in the postseason. When he's gotten the ball in the postseason, the Braves have won. They need him back. They need him healthy. Plus, he goes deep into games. He saves their bullpen. I think this is a big deal if he can't pitch. I think he will because they're going to get the bye, but it's a big deal.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you. All right, we'll see what Ken Rosenthal has for us news-wise coming up at the top of hour number 2 on Foul Territory, and also we'll get into that gift for Miggy, or that lack of, from the A's later.
So I can be free. I take the weight on my shoulders. I feel the sky come down on me, and I can't hold it much longer. Gotta let go so I can be free. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
It's hour 2 of FT Live. We've got a full house today. Braun, Pierzynski, Kratz, and LoCain. And I want to get right into our picks, and then Ken Rosenthal is going to swing by. So first off, if you're a fan of watching games for free and not paying for 8 different services and getting blacked out in your area and all of that, Royals Astros could be your game tonight, the free MLB game of the day. It's streaming on the BetMGM app. There's us, by the way. Live streaming is available to all BetMGM customers who are logged in and have funded accounts. So check that out later. And for Houston, they need to get the job done against KC and Oakland last week. I mean, they lost 4-6 to the Royals and the A's. That was surprising to me and the rest of the planet. So Maybe they're playing down to competition. We'll see what happens tonight.
Nationals.
Oh, I love it, LoCain.
Those Nationals, they're pesky. Lane Thomas having a year.
Those
Your
pe-
locks.
Those darn pesky Nationals, I tell you
They
what.
are. Your BetMGM locks. Let's run it. Yesterday, very successful. I wonder what would happen if you parlayed those 3 picks all together. What would that have been, Kratz? Like plus 1,500?
1,627.
Plus 1,627?
No, I don't know. That was just my guess.
Nice dub for me on the Braves game. You dominated your Scooble analysis, and AJ's month-long essay came to a conclusion as a plus 200 banger. He was texting us late last night, like, let's go Detroit, hold on. They did. All right, there we are with our updated money bags. So let's have Mr. Essay, AJ Pierzynski, lead off with his BetMGM locks and see if he can do it under 8 minutes.
It's also longer today, just for you two.
Oh,
Just for you two on this side of the screen. Okay, so we're
I'm going to take a
going.
nap. Wake me up later.
Yes, we're going Rays. Okay, we're Rays Blue Jays game. Tyler Glasnow, 6+ strikeouts, 1 walk. Chris Bassett, 4 strikeouts, 4 hits allowed, and a walk, and that gets me to plus 160. Boom.
That's actually not that bad. That was not as intense as I thought it was going to be. I absorbed that. Kratz?
I love that you were reading it and you were so confident in it. So confident.
Saying
And
it
you
with
won
my chest.
yesterday. You guys
That's
stay
right.
hot. You guys stay hot. I'm taking Cole Reagans versus Framber. Both of them are getting 5 strikeouts, and Reagans is adding in a walk. They've both hit that mark every time for the last 9 times out, except one time Framber dropped below it. So I like that at minus 110.
Where are you going, LoCain, tonight?
You know, I got to go with my Brew Crew. You know, the division is right there. They're just going to go ahead and just take it and grab it and ride off into the sunset, drink some champagne. So they're going to beat the Marlins tonight. And that's that negative 140. Is that
Yeah,
what it is?
minus
Yes,
140
minus
for that one on a
140.
money line. It was actually
Money
not
line.
as
Let's go, Brew Crew.
I thought that game would be more in the 165 range. So good. A little value in that one from LoCain. I like it. I feel the same way about Guardians Orioles tonight. Just think Baltimore knows what's at stake. Now they have a chip on their shoulder because everyone's probably hearing about LoCain calling the division for the Rays. So they're like, yo, we're bringing it tonight. I was surprised. Orioles are plus money tonight. They're plus a hundo against the Guardians. Also,
Bieber.
Fun fact, do you know how many home runs? I know it's Bieber, but first off, Bieber hasn't pitched much in a while. He just came back. This is his first start back since early July from the elbow issue. He's maxing out at about 80 pitches, they said. So what's that? 5 innings tops. And I know Cleveland's pitching staff's pretty good, but they don't hit much. The Orioles do. And Dean Kramer's been really good in the second half of the season for them, eating up innings and a much better second half. I actually go back to August 1st. He's got a 2.84 ERA. Guardians do not do well over the past couple months against fastballs and cutters. They had no pop, too, in that lineup. So plus a hundo for me. Also, do you know how many, just guess, how many home runs do you think all of their outfielders combined have this season? AJ might know the answer, so you might not be able to say it. But anyone know without actually having seen this before? Give me a guess.
17.
Low?
What'd you say, Chris?
17.
Total for all of their outfielders
Oh,
combined.
all their outfielders. I would say, you said they're not hitting much. Let's go with 12.
Wait, for all of their outfielders the entire season?
Oh, you're saying entire season. Okay,
Their
sorry.
entire
Let's
season,
go-
all outfielders. There's teams that have like outfielders with 25, 30, 40 homers
Let's go.
for one player.
Let's go 36.
AJ?
Well, they got Miles Straw who has 1. They got Braun who has 5. I think Miles Brannon has 10. That's 16. And then throw in some other guys. They're probably around 20 to 22.
I mean, Kratz definitely saw it somewhere because they have 18. You
I
just knew?
didn't see it, but I was guessing based on because I had heard something about that Cole Calhoun because I think he has like 2 as an outfielder. He was like 4th in their or 3rd in their outfield rotation, and he played like 3 games in the outfield.
Wow.
Dude, it's insane I mean, 18. It's historically low right now. It's the lowest since 1969.
Listen, you look at their lineup, seeing their lineup last night. You take out Naylor and you take out Jose Ramirez. There ain't nothing in that lineup. I mean, I'm serious. Like Bo Naylor's done okay. Jimenez has had a down year. Quan has been but I mean, there is no pop in that lineup. And you talk to their coaches, and they're like, "We got to hit 4 singles to score." And when you're facing some of these good pitchers, it's really hard to hit 4 singles.
AKA bettors, tell me tonight if you're into it. I've done well. Fridays, I usually have a hunch if there's something standing out. Anyway, if you have not been on the BetMGM Sportsbook app, you haven't registered yet, there is a $1,500 first bet offer if you use the bonus code FOUL. It's just for us, FOUL. You download that app or you visit BetMGM.com, sign up and deposit at least $10 into your new BetMGM Sportsbook account, and then you place your first wager and receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if the bet loses. And if that happens, your bonus bets will be available once your initial wager is settled. And also, I have some sad news. Kratz and me played in an online poker tournament last night on the BetMGM poker app, and we both lost. We made it about an hour. It is way faster than in person. That was my first online experience. You get like 10 hands per one in person, which is kind of cool. It's a good rush. But as you can see, if you're looking right now on the screen, $750K in guaranteed cash handed out from the 14th to the 24th. Kratz loved it so much. He's playing in one more tomorrow. So if you see him in there, my name is, I'm trying to remember. You'll see my name in there.
KB Scott?
Something like that. I think it was
small
KB
shirt Scott. Super small shirt, Scott.
Schmedium Braun. You'll notice me if you see me in there. I'm a little wild sometimes. What's your screen name in there?
Bruce Banner 99.
So look out for Kratz. If you want to play this weekend, I'm in the Sunday main event championship that starts at 6 Eastern. You have to be in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Michigan. Those 3 states.
Wait, hold on. You guys already lost? I was expecting like a 24-hour, 48-hour run between.
No, these games don't go that long online. I think it was probably 5 or 6 hours total, and Kratz and me each made it an hour. So
it came in hot.
Wah.
It was going fast, and then I lost connection, and I'm like, "What do I do?" It just kept folding my hands, fold, automatic fold, and I'm like, "I want to play," and then I panicked, went all in. Didn't do well. I started out hot. I won like a $34,000 hand, and then it went.
Exact same lifestyle right there. So we'll try it this weekend. We'll report back on Monday, but if someone wants to play, check it out. We'll post details on Twitter if you're in one of those 3 states. Let's bring in FT Senior Insider Ken Rosenthal to get started here on a Friday afternoon. What are you doing, AJ?
I'm looking at something.
Is this something related
Looks
to
like
Ken?
he's checking himself out in the mirror.
Well, don't be jealous, Ken.
AJ's gearing up for the postseason.
Yeah.
Did a big game last night, Orioles and Guardians. Ken, I want to start with what you wrote about Garrett Cole and breaking down some of the numbers projections, because there's definitely a narrative about handing out big contracts. And I know many owners talk to each other about it and say, why are you going to give a dude $200+ million? Like, it's most likely going to fail. Garrett Cole is the complete opposite end of the spectrum there. To me, much like Max Scherzer's contract with the Nationals. Your thoughts?
I totally agree, Scott. And that's kind of what I wrote today in the windup. Basically, when you break down Cole's wins above replacement for each year that he's been with the Yankees, all 4 of those years, and you compare them to others, and you calculate what that is worth in real-time dollars in free agency. There's a formula that people use, and it's usually about, well, it used to be that one F-WAR was worth $8 million. I hear the number now is much higher, so it's like $10 million, but whatever. You take Cole's WAR, you multiply it by 8 or 9 or 10 million, and you see what you got, and basically he comes out really well. He comes out to an average, the way I calculated it conservatively, of about $37.5 million a year in value. He's making $36 million a year. So this is year 4. It's a 9-year deal. There's no guarantee it's going to be good for the entire time, but we have seen certain starting pitchers age very well in recent years. Verlander and Scherzer take this year out of it, but these guys have aged extremely well. They've pitched well into their late 30s, and others have done the same. So with Garrett Cole, we talk all the time about Strasburg and David Price and all the deals that don't work. Here is a deal that, Scott, you're right, much like Max Scherzer's, has worked and worked at a really beneficial level for the Yankees.
Is it perceived as a success because it's a good value and he could win the Cy Young, or is it perceived as a success if they win a world championship?
Well, there are two different things you're talking about there, Eric. Obviously, he can only do on an individual basis what he is paid to do. In that sense, yes, he is successful. Now, from the team standpoint, no, they have not won a World Series with him. They have not won a World Series since 2009. I don't believe you can put that on Garrett Cole. And really, it speaks to the urgency that the Yankees should have. Garrett Cole turned 33 a couple of weeks ago. So he's entering his age 34, 35, 36, 37, and 38 seasons. Those are the final years of the contract. It stands to reason that at some point he might decline. We don't know that he will, but at some point he might. And here are his best years, and the Yankees aren't maximizing them. And as I pointed out in what I wrote today, they're not maximizing Judge's best years either. Obviously, this year's not really one of them. Last year was, and look what happened.
Ken, what do the Yankees do, though? I mean, Cole's, you just talked about it. Cole's been great. They haven't done much in the postseason with him. They aren't going this year. And if you look at them for next year, there are going to have to be some changes. The players they've let go, Aaron Hicks, Josh Donaldson, have gone to their new teams and taken off. Is there something culturally wrong in New York? Is it the pressure? I mean, what do the Yankees do to get back to where we expect the Yankees to be in it? And listen, I saw the Yankees play, I think, last week in Boston, and you talk to like Susan Waldman and some of their announcers, and they're like, this isn't the Yankees of the past. Teams aren't intimidated by the Yankees like they used to be. So what's missing from the Yankees?
A couple things there, AJ, and let's start with Hicks and Donaldson. I'm not ready to say Donaldson's taken off yet with the Brewers. He's had a couple of home runs, just as he had a few home runs with the Yankees. Hicks has done well, and he looks like a guy who New York got to him, and the fans were merciless when he slumped, and he just, once he got out of there and got to Baltimore in a better environment, actually, he kind of settled in and took off again. So you always have a circumstance where some players fare well in New York, some players don't, and when you don't, it can snowball on you. We've seen that. As for going forward and what the Yankees can do, that's a really good question because they've got a series of aging players, a number of aging players, who are not necessarily the most athletic. And I'm talking about Stanton in his current state, DJ LeMahieu, even Rizzo when he comes back. And the game is trending toward younger, athletic, speed, all of those things, and the Yankees aren't quite there. Now, some of their younger players do fit that profile. Volpe will be a good player, it seems, and others as well. But that's the place that they're in right now. You're not going to solve this through free agency. You're not going to solve this through a trade. You need the players under contract to perform better. Rodon would be one of them for sure. And you do need to do some things creatively this offseason that would enhance the roster. And I'm not exactly sure what those things are, but when you say, AJ, hey, how do you fix it? It's not an easy fix for them right now.
That was actually going to be my question, is if there is a pivot in the, let's say they have to make their lineup more athletic, or the guys that they have under contract need to play better. Is there a chance they pivot, not able to make their lineup more athletic? Would a team like the Yankees look to trade a Garrett Cole after a Cy Young season?
I can't see that, Eric. I can't see them taking that kind of step back. If you remember in 2016, they did that with Chapman and Miller because at the deadline, they were not anywhere close to where they wanted to be. Those guys were on expiring contracts, or at least Chapman was. Miller had extreme value because he was not on an expiring contract, and they took advantage of that. And Gleyber Torres was the biggest result of those deals. I don't see them taking that kind of step back. And you don't want to trade Garrett Cole in his absolute prime time years right now. You want to keep him and you want to build around him. Because think of their pitching staff without Garrett Cole. It's not very good. It's full of questions. So I don't see them making that kind of pivot. They're going to need to be creative. They're going to need to do some things differently. And again, I'm not saying I know what those things are. That's what they have to determine this offseason.
Ken, is it weird to you that I know we're still very early we don't hear more about how much the Yankees could offer Shohei Otani this offseason. And I'm wondering, yeah, he's a DH when he's hitting for the most part. He's not playing in the outfield, obviously, so he's not going to be a pitcher next year. And that's not a great position for the Yankees right now. It's just weird to me when the team that used to beat everyone up and how much they spend and they're competitive, and also this is the guy that commands more attention than anyone in the sport. I don't feel like I've seen or read a lot about them. When it comes to New York, even though some people don't think he'll come across to the East Coast, it's all about Steve Cohen and how much money he'll offer. Is it crazy to think that the Yankees wouldn't throw $500 to $600 million out there to try and entice him to switch coasts?
Not crazy, Scott, but under Hal Steinbrenner, that's not really the mode in which they've operated. Now, they've done it twice. They did it for Cole, and they did it for Judge. So I can't say, oh, they don't spend. No one can say that. Their payroll was one of the 3 highest in the game this year, one of the 2 highest. So it's certainly possible, but if you're thinking about this, and you're thinking about Otani possibly coming to the East Coast, well, if he is willing to do that, the Mets are going to offer him the most money. And if he's willing to come to the East Coast, it's probably because he wants the most money. So that would obviously point toward the Mets and Cohen. And I do think both teams will be involved, at least to check in. How can you not be? It's Shohei Otani, hello. But getting serious about this, I would expect the Mets would be more active in that regard. And keep in mind, their general manager, Billy Epler, is the guy who signed him for the Angels. So there's a previous relationship there. Sometimes these things matter, sometimes they don't. Sometimes money is all that matters. But with Otani, there's so much that goes into it. I would expect that relationship he has with Epler would play at least a small role in his decision, again, if he is willing to come to New York.
Ken, you had the Mets last night against the Phillies on Fox. Did you mention the Tommy Pham comments? Did anyone bring that up? And obviously the Mets have seen it. Did you ask Lindor about it or any of the other Mets about, like, because that we talked about this yesterday. That's one of the most damning things as a player. You're not a hard worker, like, because players take pride in how hard they work and how well they prepare. So for someone like Tommy to say that, I mean, it had to hit home with at least Lindor, right?
Those comments were in The Athletic in a story that Will Salmon and Tim Britton wrote. And Tommy Pham, in his relationship with Lindor, it's been excellent, AJ. I've written about this and actually wrote about it twice prior to this. He actually, in Lindor's view, taught Lindor to work hard, how to work harder. Lindor thought he was working hard. Tommy Pham took it to another level, made an impression on Lindor, and they went forward from there. He did say what he said, that it's the least hardworking group of position players he's seen, and then he exempted Lindor and Alonso and Nimmo. So we can play eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Certainly his comments were not the talk of the clubhouse yesterday. I think to some degree some players brushed it off. The manager the same. But when he says something like that, yes, it does carry some weight, and it does make you wonder exactly what was going on in that clubhouse and whether the Mets were indeed getting the most out of themselves, which is all you can ever ask of a team, right? Just play to your maximum effort and potential. I don't know, based on what Pham was saying, that they were. Some people might say, well, Tommy Pham, he's just going off, popping off, saying whatever he wants. I don't know. Somebody says that, I would take it seriously.
Is Lindor underrated now that we're talking about him? Like, he has almost exactly the same numbers as he had when he was in Cleveland, 30 stolen bases, and he plays all the time. I love what you wrote about him. Is he an underrated player, or is he, like, not quite living up to what New York thinks his contract should be?
It's shocking, Eric, when we talk about a player in New York who might be underrated. But in his case, it might be true. And you made a great point that his numbers, when you extrapolate them to league factors and park factors and all the things that we can do now to contextualize, they do look very similar offensively to what he was in Cleveland. Defensively, he is at the top of the metrics. He is right there. So from that standpoint alone, he's been a really good player for the Mets for the last 2 years in particular. And he also is a guy who has played more games at shortstop than any shortstop since 2016, missed only 3 games the last 2 years. And there's great value. I don't need to tell any of you guys this. Lorenzo especially was a model of it. There's great value to posting, to being there for your team. Lindor does that, and Yeah, I would say you're right, Eric, that right now he might be a little bit underappreciated, maybe because of where they are as a team, but he has played at a high level. You talk about guys fulfilling his contract and their contracts, he's right there right now.
Ken, I want to show you a tweet from Tim Healy about the wild cards. So he put this out there in the last like 24 hours. We'll
I
throw
saw
it up
this.
on the screen. You saw this? Yeah, I was curious
Yep.
to get your take here because he goes, I watched enough of the Marlins, Diamondbacks, and Reds lately to confidently say we all were right about the expanded playoffs being too expanded. 3 wild card spots. It's too many. Tim does a great job. We've had him on the show before. I personally will give you just an abridged version of my response is that I see attendance up. I see more excitement. Even if you don't always see it in the ballpark, I see more excitement from fan bases that are still in the mix. And I personally wanted one more wild card. I feel satisfied. How did you feel before? And what's your reaction to what he said?
I have mixed feelings about this whole thing. And certainly Tim makes a point. Those teams are very flawed. At the same time, just what you said is true, Scott. The Diamondbacks, Reds, and Marlins have not been to the postseason in a big way in a long time. The Reds, I know, in the COVID year made it, but the Marlins too. But you know what I'm saying. In a real season, an 162 game season, those teams have not been factors for the most part in recent years. So that alone is a good thing. That there's excitement in those cities, that there's interest in those teams. People are now catching on to the Diamondbacks and the way they play, the way they go about it. Would I suggest that any of these teams is really good and a World Series threat? No, I would not suggest that. And I'll go even further to kind of support Tim's point here. This talk now of the Padres winning out and possibly slipping into this thing, even though their odds are like below 1%. That alone is absurd. The Padres have had a horrible year. You shouldn't be able to have a horrible year and win, I don't know, 12 straight at the end of the year and get in the playoffs. But that's where we are now, and we're not going back the other way. In fact, once this sport expands to 32 teams, there will be probably even a greater number of teams in the playoffs. So I understand what Tim is saying, and certainly there's a watered-down element to the expanded postseason. At the same time, overall, I would say it's healthy.
Well, that was my question. Yeah, exactly. Do you like the fact that it's extra wild card teams or whatnot? Because for me, I personally don't like it, Ken. I think you like it, but me personally, I think it's an honor to play in the playoffs. And I feel like, hey, you get a prize. You get a prize. Everybody gets a prize. Everybody's in, And I think it's an honor to play in the playoffs and get an opportunity to play for a World Series. So I was going to ask, are you a big fan of, all the extra wild card spots?
Lorenzo, I wouldn't say a big fan, but I understand it. And when you look at the percentage of teams in the playoffs in Major League Baseball compared to other professional sports, it's not out of whack or anything like that. And the one thing I do like about the expanded playoffs is the way that they've weighted them, in the sense that if you're a wild card team, you've got a harder road. There's no question. Now, the Phillies, as a wild card team last year, made it to the World Series even under this format, but it's difficult to do. So from that perspective, okay, and it's kind of a necessary evil, in my opinion, expanded playoffs. The networks want them. The league wants them. They certainly generate more revenue. And certainly also when you begin a season and you have 30 teams, 12 does not seem like an unreasonable number. But at the same time, what Tim said in his tweet and what you're saying there too, there is, just as I mentioned a minute ago, this watered down element to it. And should the Marlins really be alive right now? You could make the case that they shouldn't be. The Cubs, they seemingly had a position a few weeks ago, and now they're falling apart. And there are teams that are not of the highest quality that are going to get in. But this isn't 1950. We're not just getting the winner from each league to play in the playoffs. It's beyond that now. The league is bigger than that. So I sort of understand all sides. I'm not giving a great answer here, or not a great opinion, I would say. But I do know why we are where we are.
Gotcha.
Ken, before we let you go, I got to ask you a question. What do these numbers mean to you? 114, 130, 137, 131, 128, 140, 136, 134, 138, 128, 129, 135, 134, 102, 113.
Ooh, Ken.
I would imagine they are OPS plus numbers for some players. I don't know
No,
what
those
you're
are the
talking
games
about.
I played every fucking year. So don't ever sell me short again.
So what is your point?
I'm just saying, you said LoCain went out there every day. What did?
Oh.
I mean, bam.
Oh, here we go.
He's been so butthurt this whole time, Ken.
Ken
So
didn't
Well,
mention
hey,
AJ's name
hold on,
one time.
Hold on 1 second.
No,
Hold
I'm
on one
fine
second.
with it.
AJ, you should know this because I know I told you I wrote this. Your durability, I think top 10 names and catchers. I've written about this. Nobody else has written about this. And even before I knew you would work with your Fox, I was writing about it. So don't come butthurt to me about not talking about your games played.
Get him, King. Get him.
Get him. Get him.
yeah.
Yeah, AJ, he's the one guy writing nice about you.
Yeah, the one
and
guy.
then you're dunking
The
back
one.
on him. Yeah,
Thank
the
you.
one
Yeah.
guy.
Ken, say it with your chest, Ken.
That's your
Say it
damn
with your
teammate.
chest.
Teammate on multiple teams.
Yeah.
Ken,
And
have an
enjoy-
awesome.
Enjoy
what?
Seattle.
Hey,
next
wait a
week.
second. I believe Erik Kratz posted too. Erik Kratz played when asked. So why don't we just include everybody? Lorenzo's talking about participation trophies. Let's go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can tell him, Ken. Tell him.
Ken, you on fire today. You on fire.
That's right, Kratz. You didn't spend much time on the IL. It's not your problem that they didn't want to put you in every day.
Yeah,
You were ready.
I'm like Blake Snell. I wanted to play more innings. They just didn't let me out there.
Perfect. Ken, have an awesome weekend. Great way to go out.
You two guys, take care.
Thank you. All right. On that note, AJ, do you have some shades? Do you have your
Yeah.
business face?
I do.
All
I'm
right,
going full
perfect
business
timing.
mode right now.
Let's go straight to. We have contenders here.
Mhm.
I forgot mine, really.
It's okay. We'll
Okay, you
put
got
these
no
two
shit.
against each other. Would you rather take Shady Rays option A, as in AJ, sporting one of the newer looks with his premium polarized
Magnum.
sunglasses that you will not have to break the bank to acquire, or that guy, Erik Kratz, who quickly would have you going, hold up, I know I just ordered that pair, but I know that if I return them within 30 days, I can either exchange them or get my money back, because all of a sudden it's lost its luster. And you think that Kratz's screen froze, but it has not. But anyway, we appreciate what Shady Rays puts out there, and also hooking our FT fam up with the best discount of the season. I know a few people in the comments yesterday said they used the code, so appreciate you. And let us know how those polarized sunglasses work out for you. Use the code FOUL, F-O-U-L, at shadyrays.com. It's for 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people. All right, we're going to run through our baseballer viral hit of the week. A really nice back and forth with Bobby Miller on the mound, who's got a little Lance Lynn in him. And oh, what perfect timing to have Lance Lynn traded to your ball club so you can learn from Lance on how to give it to an opposing hitter if he thinks that you intentionally hit him. Here's Bobby and Zach McKinstry, thanks to Baseballer throwing this out there and getting a ton of impressions and engagement on social. So there he is. He's hit in the right shoulder, and Zach McKinstry is pissed and said, kind of put 2 times up there, and then Bobby at one point goes, "Shut the fuck up. It wasn't on purpose."
Twice. The man's got a point. Hey, keep out of this area right up in here. So he's pissed. But I love how Bobby, whatever he said, wouldn't have been my words of choice, but he stood there and he wasn't like, oh, it slipped. He owned it. He's like, come on, bro. Beat it. Like, nobody did that on purpose. Like, I'm over you. I'm already on to the next hitter.
AJ, or LoCain, if it happens twice, like in my mind, if it's twice, I don't care. That's what some other dudes have said before. Like, I don't care. It wasn't on purpose. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. Well, for me personally, I'd rather the pitcher own up to it. Like you say, it wasn't on purpose, but I'd rather that than a guy just won't look at you, keep his head down, not acknowledge that he just came up and in on you, So me personally, I don't know. If he says it's not on purpose, then I'll walk down the first base line. That's just me.
E. Martinez, he's just mad the Dodgers traded him. That's cold to McKinstry. AJ, would you have your pitchers back in this scenario,
I mean,
or you'd be like, dude,
as someone that never
wait.
said anything to the pitcher, I mean, I don't understand what the problem was here. I just always just never said anything, went to first, never yelled at the pitcher, never told him to, learn how to throw the ball in the right spot. I mean, I just, I was very calm and just always walked to first and never said a word. So I don't understand the problem.
Yeah, so you're not the right person to really talk to about this. Clearly, if you Google AJ Pierzynski, you're like, oh, quiet.
Yes.
Well, I want to bring this conversation in with our guest too. We have our guest ready to go. Let's show everyone about Baseballer real quick. If you want some merch from Baseballer, get after it on their website, bsblr.com. And also, if you want to see more about this clip and all the crazy comments, then it is at the Baseballer on IG. So, and there were some good ones. I like the one that we just saw too, saying like bring that same energy, because Bobby Miller's got some Walker Buehler vibes too. He's a guy that could dominate in the postseason. We'll see. Not if they run into the Arizona Diamondbacks, if you know what I'm saying. Paul Sewald joining us right now on FT Live. Let's bring him in. Paul, what's up? Great to have you on, dude. And wanted to get your thoughts on not just Bobby Miller versus Zach McKinstry, but more about hitting a batter twice, him saying, what the hell, pitcher going, it's not on purpose, but does the hitter have a point going, I don't want to get hit twice. I don't give a shit. It's the big leagues.
Yeah, I mean, Zach has a point that, no one wants to get, especially up in this area, 100 miles an hour like Bobby's throwing. That's scary. It's a little risky. It just is, one time you think you can slip, a second time you're like, all right, like you got to start throwing some strikes. But so I don't blame him for being upset. I wouldn't want to be hit by 99, 100 either. That's why I'm a pitcher and I don't get anywhere near the strike zone now. So, but like I have the same, I have the same thing. Bobby's trying to throw the ball up in the zone. I'm trying to throw the ball up in the zone. Some days you don't really have great command of it, and it can slip, and you get two guys in one day. It's just, it's unfortunate. It just is. But I appreciate that he said, it's not on purpose. Like, I'm not trying to hit people. LoCain had a great point. It's like, you need to make sure you tell me if you're going to hit me twice. Like, are you guys trying to send a statement or what's going on? You just tell them like, hey, it's not on purpose. Like, just take it first, and I'll see if I can lock it back in.
Does it change your approach then? Because I always felt like I had a catching coach that told me, hey, if there's warnings out, the very first pitch you got to call is a fastball inside to the next batter, or else pitchers are going to be like, I don't want to throw it there because you got to get McKinstry. Obviously, they're trying to go up and in, and he threw something a little too far. Does it make you nervous and maybe like, oh, I don't want to hit him if the dude, calls you out?
I mean, you can't go that way because, if I start throwing the ball down in the zone, that's how I get ripped. Then I'm backing up bases or I need a new baseball. So warnings, no warnings. Like, I'm still trying to make my pitches. If I have to go in, I have to go in. If I have to go up and it might be in, I have to go up and in. That's just one of those things. And, you just have to, you have to do what you have to do. And, maybe just a little extra focus and making sure this one doesn't slip and make sure I get it to exactly where I want to. But no, you can't just be scared and only throw outside or only throw down away or only throw breaking balls. That's a recipe for disaster.
Hey, Paul, you guys are in Yankee Stadium, right? And you got the Wi-Fi working in Yankee Stadium?
Got the Wi-Fi working in the concrete jungle here.
Okay, what's the thing you're going to get on the spread? Because people that don't know out there, there's everything you can possibly eat in that clubhouse, like for every type of food, everything. So what's your go-to when you go to Yankee Stadium?
So when everyone's a kid, they think of the major leagues like, oh, they must have this for food. They must have a full wall of candy. They must have this. And then you get to the big leagues, and you're like, it's not really like that unless you're at Yankee Stadium, and it really is like that. Doug makes everything perfect over here. My favorite thing that they have here, they have like these mini lamb chops that are just out of this world. They're like lamb lollipops. That's the best thing they put out there. That's I think it's day 2 they usually do it. I'll come to the field pretty hungry tomorrow.
Delicious. Better than the lobster. Better than the lobster roll that they make there fresh for you.
I don't think we've had a couple lobster rolls, and I'm a huge lobster roll vibe, but the lamb chops are they're out of this world. And we asked them a couple years ago. We're like, all right, if this is what you give the visiting team, like, what do you guys get on the home side? And he said it's pretty much the same thing, only you get a little extra creativity and a little extra special over there, but pretty much they get the same spreads as us. So we used to joke, it's like, this is what they're giving the team they're trying to beat. They're giving the best food ever to the team they're trying to beat. This is the weekend that you come to the field hungry.
Also, imagine if you're on the Yanks and you've never been on another team and you start hitting the road and you're like, excuse me, where are my lamb chop lollipops? Where are the lobster rolls in this Oakland A's clubhouse? Or, whoever has shitty food, like, excuse me, what is
Yeah.
this?
That's tough if you get used to Yankee Stadium food. You go somewhere that they don't spend nearly as much money, and you're like, man, this is a downgrade.
You go from New York to Oakland, and Mikey's walking around in Oakland going, "You want a smoothie? Hey, you guys want a smoothie?
Smoothies or some chili in San Francisco,
or the round table
Don't
pizza?"
call
Mikey's always got the round table pizza and the fried chicken.
it's the best.
Man, Mikey's doing the best.
That's
he
so
can,
spot
guys.
on. Oh man, that's spot on.
He has made some upgrades. He didn't used to have the did he have the taco trucks and the chicken truck, like the food trucks that come when you guys were there, or no? Because
No.
Okay, so now when you get there, there's like a taco truck guy, there's like a barbecue chicken truck guy. So as soon as you get there, that's your spread. But it's fire. Mikey's doing the best he can with what he's got.
And smoothies.
No, smoothies. He loves the smoothies.
And smoothies.
They like bring him like a bunch of coins in a sack and dump it down, and they go, your budget for the month.
Pretty much.
Yeah. All right, good. Mikey's the real MVP then. I'm glad to hear that. That's not easy to do, to work with those resources. Okay, so Paul, I want to show you a tweet. We just brought this up to Ken Rosenthal, and you'll be able to clap back to this. You'll like this. So Tim Healy, who's been on the show, good dude, does a great job. Put a take out there. He goes, I've watched enough of the Marlins, D-backs, and Reds lately to confidently say we were all right about the expanded playoffs being too expanded. 3 wild card spots is too many. And in addition to me just straight up disagreeing, nothing to do with you being a friend of the show, your thoughts on what you're experiencing right now and if they took away a 3rd wild card from this race.
Yeah, I'm disappointed in Tim's reaction to that. That's disappointing. I thought that the playoff series last year were very good. The 4-5, even the 3-6. If you recall, as a 6 team made it to the World Series. So I think that's a statement in itself. And then the Rays Guardians series last year was extremely tight. And so I think I'm disappointed. Now, we didn't play very well in New York last week, so maybe that's why he thinks that, as the 3rd wildcard team, maybe we didn't deserve to make the playoffs. But then we win 5 straight. So, anyone can have a bad series, and you just happen to watch one of our worst series in the second half. And so I think that's a little short-sighted. And I liked him. He's good, but I think that's a little disappointing. Would he say the same thing about the American League, where we have teams that are possibly going to win 90 games who's not going to make the postseason? So, that seems a little rash, saying that we didn't need an extra playoff team.
So
spot on.
Are the Diamondbacks built to win in the World Series, win the World Series, make it to the playoffs? Because everyone says, well, they don't have a chance because they don't hit enough home runs. Are the Diamondbacks built to win the World Series?
All you got to do is get in. And you never know. Now, I think we're even more built for the postseason than most teams because we have 2 absolute horses at the top of the rotation. And when you're only throwing 4 starters, maybe even 3 if they go in short rest, and you have 2 of the best in the National League, I think that gives us a pretty good chance just about every night in the postseason to win it. And we don't hit homers like a lot of the teams in the league, but nobody runs the bases like we do. Corbin Carroll is an absolute monster that can't be stopped when he's on the bases, and everybody starts to follow suit. And next thing you know, we just create chaos and put a little pressure on teams. And there's plenty of pressure in the postseason as it is. And now you have to make the quick throw and you have to make the extra throw against our base runners. Next thing you know, we're going to win 4-3, and then we're out of there.
I got a quick question. How has the crowds been at the stadium so far? You guys been packing the house? Because I know personally, the Marlins most likely are not packing the house. The Cincinnati Reds most likely are not. And how have the crowds and the environment been for you guys?
I'd be lying if I didn't say I was a little disappointed that we didn't have better crowds. This is a playoff environment. We just played the Cubs for 3 games. At home, they're a playoff team. We're a playoff team. We're fighting. Then we play the Giants, and I know school comes back, and I'm not saying about a Wednesday day game when school is in. I'm not I'm not trying to judge based off of that, but I would have liked to have seen a little more Snakes fans when the Cubs came to town. It kind of felt 50-50 Cubs fans, D-backs fans, and I know the Cubs have a great fan base, and I'm not arguing against that, but I've been excited to be here in Arizona, but I would love Diamondbacks fans to really show out when we come home and we play the Astros in the last week of the season with a chance to make some noise and go to the postseason. So a little bit disappointed, and I understand we haven't, you have to earn the right for fans to come, but I would really love to see the place packed.
Well, I got a quick statement. Fans, if your team has an opportunity to make it to the playoffs, let's go. Let's show up. Let's go support your team. Come on, let's go to the playoffs.
And there's no Arizona Cardinals games to watch. They stink. So come out and watch a team that's actually fighting for the postseason. You know what I mean? This is a team that's got a chance. And like I said, you have no idea. Once you're in, anything can happen. So, the energy, I would love for the energy to be electric when we get back to Chase Field next week and with a chance to really clinch a postseason berth for the first time since 2017.
The Cardinals are tanking. Arizona Cardinals. I mean, I think they're
trying to
very
get
much
Caleb Williams
in the Caleb Williams sweepstakes more than maybe any other team, at least heading into the season. We'll see how it plays out, but it's a good call. The other thing I will say, this is not in defense at all, but when you do get those splits with the Cubs, so many fans in the Midwest end up transplanting and living down there full-time, retiring down there. So you get the older crowd that ends up living down there, having the time, hitting a game. I mean, not a total comparison here either, but in Miami, New York, and other Northeast cities do really well compared to the home crowd for teams, because I would see it when I lived down there. So not an excuse, but for the Cubs series, okay. For anything else, you guys should be dominating down there.
Yeah, and totally understandable. You're going against the Yankees, Red Sox, Cubs, fan bases. That's they're gonna have people on the road. Doesn't matter. But we're gonna go against the Astros next weekend, and I've had plenty of feuds with the Astros, so everyone knows how I feel about them. I would love to make sure that fans are out there cheering for the Diamondbacks next weekend.
Love that. Exactly right. You can Google all that. All right. So a question for you on sleep, big topic this week. Did you see the comments? Everyone saw it. It's actually awesome. I'm always curious. Sometimes we bring up a story and most of the players are learning about it from us. It sounds like almost every player caught this week. The Yusei Kikuchi comments about 13 to 14 hours. Then he clarifies that it's only before start. And I honestly, some people were like, oh, he was kidding. I don't know Yusei Kikuchi. I've never interviewed him before, but just going off the belief that at least the day before starts, he's putting in 14 hours. Your thoughts and your average sleep time?
As a former teammate of Yusei's, he was not. I'm sure he wasn't kidding. I absolutely think that was something that he has to have before he goes out for starts. We kind of talked about it, me and a couple other people from Seattle. I'm like, he has a kid. I don't know how you end up with 11 hours of sleep anyways. The rest of us that have kids never get 11 hours of sleep. So I don't know how that's the bare minimum, and that that would throw you off your game. If I ever got 11 hours of sleep, I would feel over the moon, whether I'm starting, relief, that just doesn't happen when you have a kid. I don't understand. I don't understand his sleep schedule. That's incredible.
Maybe the rest of you are doing it wrong though, Paul. Maybe Kikuchi's yo, I got 2 nannies, 2 au pairs, whatever it is. When I wake up and want to hang out with the kids, I do that. But before that, someone else handles morning duty. Literally.
Well, I enjoy hanging out with my daughter, so I wake up and play with her. I don't know what that scoop would be like. Whatever. That's insane. That's insane. We kind of joked about it. Obviously Merrill Kelly has had his issues with cramps, and he does literally everything science proven. Have to drink water at this time, have to have this pickle juice, have to have this hydration pack, and he's getting them. And then we were just joking that it's all you need is 13 to 14 hours of sleep and then you'd be fine. And, he has a young daughter and he knows that that's not going to be applicable to his life either.
So you got another one on the way. Are you prepared? And most people go, okay, you're going from zone to man. You're not going from zone. Right now, you're going double coverage, locking her down to you're going to have to play a single man zone because your wife is going to go, look, you take both of them, I'm out. And you're going to be like, what do I do? There's so much estrogen everywhere.
Yeah. Coming from a family with a brother that was very sports oriented, just having a girl in my life in the first place was a lot. And now we're going to have 2. The Sewald house is going to be pink. I have come to I've come to understand that and just accepted it. And the estrogen and the attitudes are going to be an adjustment here for dad life, but I can't wait. I feel like I've gotten the hang of girl life now, and I feel like it's like, all right, we'll just keep it on. I don't mind that at all. It's good where I can be boy and baseball stuff here at the field, and then just pink and fully dad at home.
Are you going to teach either one of your daughters to throw a slider? Like either one of them?
We throw balls in the house. We have she's in this like throwing phase, and so we're like, no, you throw balls, not toys. Throw balls, not food. And now she doesn't really understand, but she'll just say that. She's like, balls, not toys. And it's like, okay, yeah. You're only allowed to throw balls. And so we have some plastic balls here at the house we have in Arizona that she can go around and chuck them, and she gets maybe like 2 feet away, and you kind of like have to make sure that like you don't know if she's going to throw it like 30 miles an hour or throw it backwards. So we're getting the hang of it. We're trying to get some release point stuff down before we hit the slider.
Okay. Bobby Miller. So she's kind of like Bobby Miller. Does she apologize when she hits you in the face?
No apologies. She just goes right at it. She's too tough for that. She's got that presence on the mound.
That's good. I like that.
I'll go real quick. I got a quick question. I'm big on the sleep thing. So I agree with him 100% on the sleep. What I would do, I would sleep all day, wake up, eat breakfast at 9-ish, and then go right back to sleep. So I completely understand that was my stuff before I had kids, that is. Yes. Now I got 3 boys. But
3 kids.
In Kansas City, they had a sleep chamber. It had like a sleep room. Do you guys have anything like that in Arizona?
Yeah, so we have a gigantic room that's as big as our training room that has like everything recovery you could possibly ask for. So they have like 2 ridiculously nice massage chairs that can like fully recline. So you can get the massage and you can kind of like tune it out. They have a red light therapy machine. They can give you recovery. They got the hot tub, the cold tub, the float tank, and then they have like 4 or 5 like lounge chairs that you can kind of like you can get reclined maybe like 45 degrees and stuff, and you've got to cover to make sure that it's dark and make sure that it's good. So we have plenty of opportunities that we can get plenty of rest. At home, especially when you take batting practice first and you have maybe 2 hours before game time, it's a really good opportunity to make sure you just get quick little nap, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, whatever you need. So they give us everything that we need to make sure that we get plenty of sleep and plenty of recovery here.
Doing it right.
Paul, this is it. This is the last regular season. Paul Sewald popping up on FT Live. We'll get you during the postseason. Will you be the same person, or should we prepare ourselves for a different Paul? You know how most players are in the playoffs. I mean, I always had to interview a billion of them, and I'm like, hello? Are you there?
I think I would like to say that I'm going to be the same one. I think, I likened my first playoff experience to a debut situation where some people it starts to spin a little bit quick. And that's not a testament to your mental fortitude or anything. It just is something you've been working for your whole life, and then you finally get that debut. And some people are really able to lock it in as quickly as they can and go for it, and some people struggle. And I feel like the playoff situation is a little bit like that. And obviously my outings got a little bit better and a little more calm as the postseason went last year. And I'm hoping that this year I can kind of make it, a regular game and not get overly excited and let my emotions get the hold of me. So I'm hoping that I'm going to be the same regular season Paul Sewald, both for the podcast and both for the games that we have.
I love that. And yeah, if not, like if you're feeling it a little and then you come on, we'll remind you and we'll just chill. Like this will be the
there
escape where you're like, nothing matters.
Quick in.
Yeah, exactly. You just get to make fun of other big leaguers. That's what the show's for. So
exactly.
Well, get in that playoff race or get in the postseason in general first. So go grab a spot, and then we'll talk to you in October.
That sounds perfect. I love that. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Thanks, Paul. Good luck, man. Big
Appreciate
week and a half coming up for AZ and that playoff race for the National League wildcard spots. It is wild. Obviously, like we talked about earlier, Philly's going to get probably that first wildcard spot, but the second 2 are very much up for grabs. The Cubs, which we'll get to more next week and see how they do this weekend. They've lost 10 of 13, so they were sitting pretty for a while. They're in trouble too. Justin Steele kind of looks like he's running out of gas, which sucks for them. So we'll get into more of that when we have time. Let's talk rookies. We're going to get some graphics help from MLB 9 innings. So first off, I just want you guys each to think about the answer to this question. Your favorite rookie to watch / like guy you'd want on your team. It doesn't just have to be best. Like you like an attribute about him. You like the way that he's playing ball. Think about that. while we watch the kid, Ken Griffey Jr., star in this little bit.
Hey, outfield in. Easy out, everybody. Easy out. Like I said, easy out. Oh, yes! Woo! Like I said, easy out, buddy. Want to play another 9 innings? Not so tough now.
That is so good. That fires me up. Trout and Griffey and company starring in the MLB 9 innings trailers. So, okay, we're focusing on rookies. MLB 9 innings is going to be a big part of some of our segs coming up over these next couple months. FT's favorite rookies, nice and simple. We'll get a good look at their rookie cards as we do that, and you can see QR code on your screen on how to download MLB 9 innings. It is free. I'll give you more info in a sec. Who wants to go first? Favorite rookie to watch? Erik Kratz, you raised your hand.
Talked about his teammate. His teammate was just on here. Corbin Carroll, end to end, beginning to finish, rookie of the year, runaway. This dude is an absolute beast. 25 homers, 50 stolen bases. Like, I don't know. Well, he hits with 2 eyes. So I don't know why he gets a 76. That's the lowest. This dude is incredible. And just like, if a pitcher says you run the bases like a bat out of hell, then you run the bases. And that is what this team does. And they feed off of this guy's twitchy energy.
And I know why he went first low, because he wanted to make sure that he grabbed Corbin Carroll and said it before anyone else did. That's very Kratz-like, teacher's pet.
It's okay. I got another guy for it, bro. My guy is Royce Lewis. You know, he's a guy that's full of energy, full of athleticism. You know, he's overcome a lot of injuries, you know, to be in the position he's in today. I think he's tore his ACL and had a ton of other injuries, but he's brought a lot of energy to this team. Kid with great attitude, let me tell you, and he's a grand slam machine. Let me tell you about it. So, yeah, he's fun to watch, and I think he's going to be a great addition to this team for a long time.
Yeah, look at that pop. Look at that pop go. And obviously, you can boost your value with your rookie cards. Like if you pull multiple rookie cards, you can pair them together to boost certain attributes. And for Royce Lewis this year, we might need to create a grand slam attribute just in those specific moments. I mean, we just had him too earlier this week in Cincinnati. And he's like, you know what else helps? When you step up to the plate a lot and the bags are full. But still, I'm like, dude, 4 freaking grand slams in one season from him and 5 in his very young career is insane. AJ, you got a rookie that you like? If you have a team you're putting together on MLB 9 innings, who you bringing on?
Yeah, I'm going to Baltimore, and I'm grabbing the guy who's going to win the AL Rookie of the Year, Gunnar Henderson. Why? I mean, I know Kratz loves Corbin Carroll, but Gunnar Henderson, 27 homers, 80 ribbies, OPS over 820, and he has a higher WAR than Corbin Carroll. Why? Because he plays a premier defensive position at shortstop. And as Brandon Hyde told us yesterday, he makes a play every single night that you just stop and go, wow. And he's only 22 years old. This kid's going to be an absolute man-child when he gets it all figured out. He already is, but it's only going to get better. Playing in Baltimore. Lock him up, Baltimore. But I'm going with Gunnar Henderson.
You know they won't. That's why your team will take him. Yeah, too late. Too expensive. Too late. I'll give a shout-out to who I think is going to finish runner-up for the National League Rookie of the Year, to Carroll Kodai Senga. I mean, he's been great on a team that has not had a lot to be excited about. I mean, they've gotten what they've paid for with him. And the thing that stands out to me, as you can see, he brings the velo and the ghost fork. I love when you play to the marketing of the sport. He's got a signature pitch. He has the multiple looks on the gloves with the ghost on it, playing to the ghost fork mantra. Keep doing your thing, Kodai, and good luck with you and the Mets trying to recruit Shohei Otani over to play in New York. But that dude stands out. I just wanted to give him a little bit of love. As you can see, MLB 9 innings 23 is available for free to download. You see the QR code bottom of the screen, and now we'll give it to you right there on the bottom right corner. You can scan it and download it. Game features baseball heroes of the past, City Connect uniforms, power rankings, and you can really enjoy it anytime you want and download it with also the link that we'll post later in the description of the episode. We'll throw it up there on Twitter too. It is free to download. So check that out, and we'll go over some positional rankings and show you player cards as we continue along here into the postseason. Let's hit hot corner. Oof. I think we just have to bash some media personalities on a Friday and just get it out of our system, okay? So I want AJ Pierzynski to start off. Yeah, let's sizzle here with Stephen A. Smith's performance on the mound for the New York Yankees last night before the game started. The ceremonial first pitch from a dude who doesn't even like baseball.
First of all, why is he throwing out the first pitch? Let's just start with that. He hates baseball. He says baseball, whatever. He says it every day. Shohei Otani doesn't draw fans to the game. Well, yeah, he does actually draw a lot of attendance. But then you go out there after saying all these things about baseball and you throw this pitch that went 42 feet and probably on the radar gun was below the school speed zone at 20. Look at this thing. I think it was it Higgy or Boy Kratz that caught it? He should have caught it barehanded. And the best part is he knew it right away. As soon as he let this thing go, just drop your head and go hide somewhere. Because that's one of them, with all the hype, and I'm sure he was talking about it on his show, but I mean, come on. You got to be better than that. At least throw it high. At least then you can say, well, I missed him high, but you can't one-hop it like that.
Can't talk about baseball when you don't watch it either. I mean, this guy, I don't understand it. The biggest thing for me out of this whole thing, Higgy with an absolute snag catches it and pulls it back in. That's my guy, Higgy, and that's what I'm taking out of Stephen A's lack of baseball knowledge was the fact that he probably had no idea who he was throwing to, and he just enjoys the clicks talking about Shohei, saying he doesn't bring read an article one time about the highest grossing athlete in America this year based on value that he brings to a franchise.
All right, well, we have it. We have it, Kratz. Let's run a little clip from Stephen A. and his absolute love for the game of baseball.
First of all, do me a favor. Tell the baseball community to shut the hell up. Let me
Why
tell you
would
what.
we do that?
Let me,
Why would we do that? I have.
Whoa!
Speaking baseball.
Whoa! Be quiet. You're gonna call up. You're gonna ask me a question. Let me answer.
Blasphemous.
I know baseball, the sport. What happens is because I'm so busy with other sports watching it, I don't get to watch as much baseball. But the reason why we don't watch as much baseball, Fuzzy, if you did your homework, is because people don't care ratings-wise when we're watching baseball. We're trying to change that.
Huh? Are people not watching baseball? I'm pretty sure it's still the number 2 revenue sport. Hey, no secret, the game and the league has work to do on promoting its players, on getting rid of some shithead owners. There's definitely work to do. Every league has work to do. But also, game's doing pretty fine. I mean, he's acting like baseball's going out of business next year, AJ.
You better look at the ratings and you better look at the numbers. Attendance is up. Ratings are up. All of it's up. And I'll also say this, and Stephen A. Smith, he loves him some basketball. LoCain, tell him, we don't have no load management in baseball. You play your ass out there every day. It don't matter where you're at, back to back to back for 19 straight days. Guess what you do? You run your butt out there to your position and you play. So, I mean, listen, baseball is different. And the reason baseball numbers, I think, struggle is because it's for 162 games. Now, nobody on earth can watch 162 games, every single game, and 81 games for a season ticket. That's a lot. But don't say that baseball's struggling because with the new rules they put in and with the new pitch clock, I mean, right now, baseball's on the up for me from every number that you can possibly look at. Attendance, revenue, ratings on TV. I mean, it's on the way up.
Agreed. The only complaint from me was, from everybody, I think, was the games were too long. So now they fixed that. And now, I'm not sure what he's speaking to because the game is doing just fine. I mean, we're going to have to put him on that. What's that football show? The Come On Man show? I'll put him on that show, man, because Stephen A., that's ridiculous, man, okay?
Yeah, give him a good, come on, man. Yeah, come on, man. All right. On the topic of media personalities dying for attention, my old friend at MLB, Brian Kenny, put this out today. We don't have to watch the clip; it doesn't matter. His contract offer to Shohei Otani is 8 years, $320 million. I don't reply to most of this stuff. I don't want to give it much attention, but I did have to reply. Also, notice the topic bar is Otani a roster headache. I said, LOL, I can't tell if this is serious or not. Is this how to finish 28th in the Otani sweepstakes? Oakland A's owner John Fisher might even beat this offer. Kratz, how'd I do?
I mean, that was mic drop. I wish I would have seen this tweet from you.
I just did it during the show.
Oh, I'm definitely gonna follow this. Like, are you serious? What did he say? 8 years, $320 million? Literally, there is I read an article about the value that he brings based on econ major from, I forget what school it was, but the value that he is creating based on everything around him is somewhere in the $337 million range. And it's based on like people traveling to come, just commerce around Shohei Otani, not just, oh, what does he bring to the field and all that stuff. And you're going to say $320 million on a owner-driven network? Don't put that out there like that. Don't put that out there. This is not how this works. We're not going to manipulate Shohei Otani's contract by putting out absurd numbers that wouldn't even be, what would that make him, like 8th or 10th in baseball in salary? If you're not stalking, if the first number is not a 5 or a 6, you're not even in it. The Rays probably were following Brian Kenny's whatever that was, tweet or comment he was making, and they were like, dang, I think we might be in on Otani.
Are you showing us, AJ, any kind of symbol of where the answer came from? Like someone's got him by the baseball?
This isn't even like worth the time to discuss because this is just dumb, and I agree with Kratz. This is Brian Kenny working for the owners, trying to start off really low and manipulate some salaries. I don't know if he's that smart, but it's just so ludicrous that he would even say this because he's Mr. Stats and Mr. Shredder guy and Mr. this and that. But at the end of the day, I mean, 8 years, $320 million. That's you're right, Kratzy. The Rays are like, we're going to get a new ballpark in 2028. Maybe we can get in Otani at this rate.
Jeez, sorry, LoCain, I'll let you comment, but this is worse than the gift that the A's gave to Miggy. Jeez.
That's why they gave him such a cheap gift, because they're going to get in on the Shohei Otani sweepstakes.
They can find $330 million somewhere.
Oh man!
Oh my goodness!
I guess they stopped by CVS to pick that up. I guess, huh?
Yeah, Miggy. Sorry, dude. We forgot. We did get all of the A's to sign this. Most of them won't be on the team in a few years, but we love you. Almost none of them have probably played against him. No offense to the A's, just like most of that roster, was in the minor leagues last year. So they're like, remember all your friends? They all signed this wine bottle that we just picked up across the street.
Can I say? I mean. And it's also an inappropriate gift based on what Miggy's gone through. Like maybe I'm stepping out of line by saying this.
You're not.
But like that's inappropriate. That is bringing something up that he has battled with. And if you know anybody that's ever had any kind of alcohol issue, you don't just battle it and then you're like, oh, I'm good. It's something you battle your entire life. And for them to, even if that's like the most expensive rare bottle you could find in all of Oakland, like, that's so inappropriate. That is so zero forethought by them. And they should post an apology.
Yeah. I mean, it's Miggy. It's Miggy, for God's sake. I mean, it's like, hey, the coach, hey, stop by and grab a bottle of wine real quick before you get to the field. That's the kind of gift that is to me. Let's stop by before we get to the field, grab something real quick. Everybody sign it, and then we hand it to Miggy. Miggy deserves a lot more than that, and he's earned it. He deserves it. So, I don't know. That's a poor piss gift for me, honestly.
Yeah. There was not much thought put into that, and you're right. No, Kratz, you can totally say that. I mean, Miggy battled alcohol issues, early on in his career. It's not an appropriate gift at all. It's a lack of judgment, homework, the whole deal. It is so poorly constructed. Also, Lo, what do you got for Shohei Otani? 500 mil? Like Ken Rosenthal put out an article. It was like, he's a lock. Basically, I'm paraphrasing. for $500 million. I mean, if he's signing in the 300s, he might as well just pay a team to take him, you know? Or should we get to that point too? Like, you know what? You're going to market me so well that I want to pay you for my services.
Yes, everyone's going to show up. Whoever he signs with. If the number doesn't start with a 5, then what are we talking about? Like, we're wasting each other's time. We're wasting our time talking about this. If it doesn't start with a 5, hey, what are we doing? So Shohei's going to, I mean, the kid, he can do a little bit of everything, and that's what you want on your team. So, hey, I agree with Kratz. I agree with AJ. Spot on with what those guys said. So, hey, we'll see what happens. But I expect him to get a ton of money. And anyways, I've never been a big fan of Brian Kenny as well. The shredder, I guess.
Tell him.
Never been a big fan.
Did he not rank you high enough?
Probably, but you know,
you're not even watching.
I've just never been a big fan of him. You know, his numbers and the way they crunch numbers and all of this. So we'll see what happens. But Shohei, go get your money, kid.
Yeah, BK, you have my number. That was just a trash take. I don't have to watch the clip. It just, when you put a number out like that, you're not watching the rest of the baseball world. You're not talking to baseball executives. Like 300 something. It was hard for me. That's why I'm scrolling through, and I couldn't resist. And it was during the show. So I was looking for something, and I was like, oh man. So there we go. We had to do it that one time. Let's slap. Kratz hats, baby. What do you got? You got a little fancy arch on the back that I see there.
It's not fancy. It's my first ever Pirates big league camp spring training hats. They were brutal. They don't fit my noggin. They built these like all spring training or / they turn into the BP hats then. They don't consult like people with ginormous heads or bald heads. Man, you can't be putting the mesh in the back. You get all the dots on your head in spring training, and you can't be getting these shallow, like, doesn't even fit hat.
Yeah, that's not great. Not their best work. They need to get the Navy SEAL dude on that to fix it. Let's bring in our AMP callers. So you can follow us at Foul Territory on AMP. Name, favorite team, question, or comment. Go ahead. Kevin?
Hi, guys. My name is Kevin, and I am a San Diego Padres fan. Ken touched on it briefly, but I was curious on your guys' take if you guys think the Padres have a legitimate chance to make the wild card race, especially with the Cardinals coming up today.
LoCain, you're the bold one. You have the Padres?
Okay, I'm the bold one. Yes.
Thank you, Kevin. Appreciate it. Really low.
Oh, man. Hey. I'm taking all bold takes, you know me. I'm the optimistic one, you know. So hey, yes, keep believing in your team. I believed them early in the season. So hey, why change now? Stick with them to the end, and we'll see what happens.
They're 4 games back, and they would have to leap 1, 2, 3, 4 teams to get to the 3rd wild card spot with about a week left in the season. They're playing good ball. They're out. Did you say they're out?
Win out. Yes.
I still don't think they get in if they win out. I mean, they've won 7 in a row. It's cool. And Fernando Tatis Jr. basically said too little, too late. AJ, do you want to put it nicely?
You know who's going to eliminate them? The White Sox the last weekend of the year in Chicago. That's what's going to happen.
They're
going to win 6 in a row, and they're going to be at 13 in a row. They're going to be right there, and then they're going to play those mighty White Sox, and the Fighting Chris Getzes are going to send them home.
Oh yeah, and as Todd said earlier in the year, Pedro Griffel is going to have something that he can finally celebrate for this year of just nothing.
Listen, the Padres are done. I mean, they've been done. They're the most disappointing team in baseball. I mean, there's no other way to put it. I mean, yeah, they got hot late. I mean, they do have a favorable schedule. They play the Giants. They really don't play anybody. So, I mean, they play the Giants. They play the Cardinals. They play the White Sox. It's there, but, I mean, are they going to win 16 games in a row? Geez, I mean, it'd be amazing if they did.
It'd be amazing if they did and still don't make it by a game.
No, if they win 9 more, that puts them at 84 wins. I don't think 84 is going to get it done for him.
I don't either. That's why it's just a little, too late. But Kevin, good call. And I will say they at least made themselves relevant. That I just want to see how many they win in a row to end the season, because one of those win streaks would have been nice earlier in the year. I'm with you. It's just super disappointing year based off the talent there, and a lot of good articles coming out right now about what's going on there. You can follow us at Foul Territory on AMP. Also, we have a giveaway that is running right now. If you're into Roger Clemens gear, you like the post that we put up on IG, follow Tiza Energy, Foul Territory Show, and Roger Clemens. Tag 3 friends in the replies, and you're automatically entered for a chance to win this set of 4 dugout mugs that you can see on the screen. If you're on the pod, you can follow the post, obviously, to see what's going on. They're all signed by Clemens. Red Sox, Yankees, Astros, Blue Jays mugs. It's really cool. They have a spot for him to sign, and then Tiza gear, of course, Tiza products for you on the screen that will also be sent to you. And 2 more things. One, a shout out to Sean Doolittle, who officially announced his retirement. I'd love to get him on soon on maybe a Legends or something. I'm not going to read all of this right now, because otherwise everyone will probably kill me. We'll go way over time. But 11 incredible seasons playing the sport, and he sends a really heartfelt thank you to his teammates, managers. The whole deal goes down the line, and we'll try and sum it up and bring him on pretty soon. I'll send a note out to him, but really cool to get that note. And Doolittle said, see you tonight at Nats Park. We're going to party. So he's doing the reverse Strasburg, AJ. They invited him, and he's actually going. They're not going to pull anything back last minute.
Well, you never know with the Nationals. They could change their mind. They could want him to give some money back at the end. And sorry, Sean, we were just kidding. Ha ha.
Hey, here's 20 free tickets. Bring your fam and friends. Last minute, they send him a bill for like 20 grand.
Oh, for sure, sending them a bill. Like, hey, we also found some room services that you didn't pay while you were here. Thanks for that World Series thing that you did for us. That was nice, but checks in the mail.
Classic. Did you come across Doolittle at all, Lo?
Yeah, I faced him a few times. That's about it.
The
We
fastball.
never really spoke, but we have faced him a ton.
Fastball up here.
Yep, fastball. I love me some lefties too. You know me, I love some lefties.
Oh, LoCain, you just dropped it right into the triangle, right behind second and first base. Just a little LoCain jam. Oh, little jam job, full swing, right over the first baseman's head.
Yep. Knee hurts, steals second.
Yep.
Brought home on an RBI single.
Just
No big
sometimes you
deal.
got to find a way to survive, and that's what I did.
Yeah, the king of survival, LoCain. And lastly, let's finish with Erik Kratz starring in the latest, well, I guess it's the second latest now version of the power rankings. No, it's still the latest. So I was reading this. I read the power rankings, The Athletic, every week. There have, over the past 150 years of baseball history, been some darn good do-it-all ball players. Oscar Charlton, Ricky Henderson, Ken Griffey Jr., Mike Trout, Erik Kratz. This is real. This is really in the article. Stephen Nesbitt put it in there, Kratz. Did you see this?
No.
No, that's funny.
What are they putting me in there for?
And it's like, you can't tell, obviously, if they either just, I was like, did they mean to put someone else? Was it a joke? But they put Kratz in there. Nesbitt was on the show recently. Is Kratz on his mind? AJ, did you see that? And when you do see it, your thoughts?
I think that Nesbitt's playing a trick on all of us right there, because he just wanted some clickbait from Kratz and his 1,700 family members and all the teams. So he's like, oh, if someone Googles Erik Kratz, or click on this article, and then they'll read it and be like, oh, he was just kidding.
I think he might have been like, oh,
but,
but
listen, Kratz was a two-way star now. Don't forget,
that's why I put it, maybe.
Yeah.
He's
I
writing
had
about
to see
dynamic
what
players.
the numbers, why my name came up on there. I don't know. Maybe I gotta read more Steven's stuff, or maybe did I say something bad to him when he was on here? I felt like I was nice. Okay, help me out
DMing
here.
Steven right now. Nesbitt, you're getting a DM from me. You are the star of the end of the Friday show. So we'll see everyone on Monday. Happy early playoffs weekend in Major League Baseball. Fun one today. See you Monday, everyone.
I won't be here Monday because I'm hanging out with all my other buddies, Ken Griffey Jr. and Mike Trout.
And me, I'm coming over.